bump into love.
Summary: Ryan Webster, a columnist from New York, was sent to Fairbanks, Alaska at Christmas time to write an article on the small town. There was a rumor that the real Santa Claus lived there. He was to find out what makes the town and the people that live there so special. Since he was single and had no one to spend Christmas with, he agreed to go. If he did well, he would get a big promotion, making him the head columnist, a huge jump in salary. It would give him the first chance to pick his assignments and to travel the world. He never believed in Christmas or all the hype surrounding it. That was until he met Maddie Davison. The moment she bumped into him, and he looked into her eyes, he knew she was special and wanted to get to know her. His life was about to change drastically, for the better. He learned so much in the short time he spent in Fairbanks and about the people who lived there. Ryan did his best not to fall for Maddie, knowing he would be leaving right after Christmas. What will happen when his time there is up? Will he leave or stay? Chapter 1. Ryan stepped into the building where he worked, shaking the snow from his coat. Going up to the second floor, he walked past Sue, the office secretary. "Good morning, Sue." "Morning, Ryan. Karen wants to see you right away." "Is the boss in a good mood today?" he asked, stopping to find out. "Seems to be, but that will change if you don't hurry up." Giving her a wink, he walked toward Karen's office and knocked. He entered to find her behind the desk going over some papers. "You wanted to see me?" She was a woman in her late 50s and was still a looker. "Yeah, sit down," she instructed, not looking up. He sat there waiting for her to speak. She had a habit of making people wait, something he found irritating, but what could he do? After all, she was his boss. She finally looked up. "Ryan, I have a new assignment for you." "I'm listening," he replied. "Yes, it's in Fairbanks, Alaska." "Alaska? Are you kidding me?" "You know I never kid. I need you to go and check out the town and the people that live there. I've heard it's a special place at Christmas time. I want you to interview them and find out why people are saying it's a magical place. There are rumors of a real Santa Claus that lives there and something about a mistletoe." "That's ridiculous. There's no such thing as a Santa Claus, and what's this about a mistletoe?" "Well, the townspeople claim there is, so I need you to go and find out what's going on. As far as the mistletoe goes, they say certain people fall in love when they kiss under it." "Why me and not someone else?" "Because you are the only one without family. You always say you don't care much about Christmas. All your expenses will be paid, and I have arranged for you to stay in one of their cabins. Think of it as a vacation, a way to get out of the city." He thought about it for a few minutes. It was true. He didn't have any family to celebrate the holidays with. He had broken up with his girlfriend over a year ago, and it would be nice to get away from New York for a while. "When do you want me to go and for how long?" Karen's face lit up with a smile. "I've booked your flight for early next week. I expect a report from you every week. Get to know the community and see what you can find out about the Santa Claus and the mistletoe. You'll be back by New Year's Eve in time for the party." He left her office and went to his own and sat down behind his desk. He opened his laptop and looked up Fairbanks, Alaska. He was a little confused when he saw that there was two Fairbanks. One appeared to be a city and the other one a small community. He wasn't sure which one he was going to, but he assumed it would be the community one. It hit him that he was going to have to go and buy some warmer clothing, and since all expenses were paid, he knew that Karen would authorize his clothing budget. When Saturday rolled around, he went to the bar with some of his buddies. After having a few drinks, a cute little brunette walked over to him and asked him if he cared to dance. He looked her up and down and liked what he saw, so of course, he took her onto the dance floor. Later he Saturday and had a couple more drinks with her and ended up going to her apartment. They had sex and he spent the night. In the morning she made him breakfast and hinted around about going out again. "I'd like that, Sandy, but I'm not going to be around until the end of December." "Oh, are you moving away?" "No, I have an assignment in Alaska, but I really enjoyed myself last night and this morning." "Well, perhaps you could call me when you get back." "I'd like that. In fact, I'll be back for my company's New Year's Eve party, and I was wondering if you'd like to go with me." Her eyes lit up and she nodded her head. "I would love to go with you to your New Year's Eve party. I hope you'll call me before that and let me know it's still on." "I will, I promise," he said as he gave her a kiss goodbye. It wasn't that he was that much into her, but he figured, if he was going to the New Year's Eve party, he might as well take her. It wasn't like he was going to meet anyone else, and he didn't want to go to the party alone. Sunday he spent the day packing, taking the tags off of his new winter clothes and jacket. He made sure to take his laptop, his charger and everything else he would need to work with. That night he laid in bed going over everything he could find on Fairbanks and checked out pictures of the cabin he would be staying in that Karen had gotten him. It was small but looked cozy. Being used to living in the city with all of the nightlife, he was sure he would be bored to death in Alaska, but he did hope that he would find something to help him pass the days and nights. The next day before leaving to catch his plane, he checked to see that he had everything. It was going to be a 7-hour flight and would not be arriving until sometime before midnight. When he arrived in Alaska and had gathered his luggage, he was glad that Karen had arranged for a cab to be there to pick him up. He thanked the driver for helping him with the luggage and got in the back seat. "So you're that reporter from New York who's come here to check out our little town?" "Yes, and I'm looking forward to meeting everybody." "Have you lived here long?" "Born and raised." "Your cabin is ready to move into and some of the women in town cleaned and even bought a few things for your breakfast." "That was very nice of them, but they didn't have to do that." "Well, they knew that you wouldn't be getting in until late and wouldn't have time to shop. This way at least you'll be able to have a bite to eat in the morning before you head into town to get whatever supplies you need." "Just how far from town is my cabin?" "It's only a 10-minute walk, but if you need a taxi we do have a couple. You're most likely get me seeing the other feller takes too much time off, so he's not reliable." It was an hour's drive to the cabin from the airport, and when they got there the driver, whose name was Harry, helped him inside with the bags. When the driver had left, he checked out the rooms. It only had one bedroom, one bathroom and a small kitchen. The living room was a decent size with a fireplace. There was even some wood piled up against it. It was very clean, which he greatly appreciated. He even noticed that there were clean fresh towels hanging in the bathroom and the bed also had fresh linen on it. After unpacking he took a hot shower, threw on a pair of sweatpants and went into the kitchen to see what was in there to eat. He found bacon, eggs and bread. There was also coffee, milk and sugar and a small package of biscuits. Since he had eaten on the plane, he wasn't hungry, so he just went to bed and figured he'd get up early in the morning and go get some groceries and check out the small town. Climbing under the blankets, he was surprised to find that the mattress was so comfortable, and it didn't take him long to fall asleep. Chapter 2. Maddie entered the small bake shop that her parents owned, one where she also worked in. She would help out as a teenager, and now at the age of 21 worked full-time. She loved it. The smell of freshly made bread and other desserts her parents made always warmed her heart. "Mom, Dad, I'm sorry I'm late. My darn alarm clock didn't go off, and I really need to get a new one." Hearing her daughter's voice, Josie walked out from the kitchen into the front. "That's okay, sweetheart, and maybe Santa will bring you a new alarm clock." Maddie went over and hugged her mother. "That would be awesome. So what is Dad making today?" "His usual Christmas gingerbread cookies. Did you make sure that our visitor has clean towels and sheets?" "I sure did, and I even picked him up some food so that he would have breakfast when he woke up. I wonder what he's like. I really hope he likes our little town. And if he gives us a good report in his column, it just might bring in more business. It certainly would be good for all of us since things have been so slow lately. Now go give your father a kiss hello." Going over to her father, she gave him a kiss on the cheek. "Morning, Dad. Hey, sweetheart, try one of these cookies for me and let me know what you think." He handed her one of the gingerbread cookies. She took one bite and smiled. "Dad, I do believe these are even better than the ones you made last year. I still need to decorate them with icing. Mary has asked for 4 dancing for her restaurant. Once I'm done, will you take them over to her for me?" "Of course I will. Can I help you to decorate them?" "I was hoping you would say that," he said, winking at her. 2 hours later, and once they were done and put into a box, she put on her coat and headed out to the restaurant just down the street. When she got to her destination and went to open the door, it swung open. She landed on her rear end, but luckily she was able to hold onto the box of cookies. She looked up to see the most handsome man looking down at her, his eyes a deep chocolate brown. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, miss. Please, let me help you up," he said, reaching out his hand for her to take. He had just finished having lunch and was not looking as he exited the restaurant. He hadn't realized somebody was coming in as he was leaving. He looked down at the young woman, sitting on her bum holding a box. His heart did a little dance. She wore no makeup, but she was so beautiful and obviously didn't need any. When she accepted his offer, and he felt her hand and his warm feeling rushed through his entire body as he helped her up, she smiled at him, wondering if this was the reporter. Don't be sorry, it was my fault. I wasn't watching where I was going. Something smells really good, he said, looking at the box that she was holding. They're freshly baked gingerbread cookies I was bringing to the restaurant. I've never seen you around here before. Are you the man who's going to be writing a story on our community? That would be me. I'm Ryan Webster, and who might you be? Maddie Davison. Welcome to Fairbanks, and I hope you enjoy our little town. I really should get going. It was nice to meet you, and I hope I get to see you again, he said as she went to walk into the restaurant. She looked back at him and giggled. I'm sure you will, since you are going to be here for a few weeks. Have a good day. He watched as she entered the building, and a smile appeared on his face. He might just enjoy being here after all. He then went over to the grocery store and bought what he thought he would need to last him for a week or so, not being able to carry everything himself. He called for a taxi, and Harry was the one that picked him up. So we meet again, Mr. Webster. Looks like you bought enough food and wine to last you a while. Ryan laughed. I figured I'd better stock up in case all this fresh air gives me an increase in my appetite, and as far as the wind goes, well, you can never have enough. Harry also laughed. Oh, I agree with you there, though I'm more of a beer drinker myself. Have you had a chance to interview anybody yet? Not yet. I thought I'd get settled in first and start tomorrow. I did run into someone interesting, a Maddie Davison. Do you know her? Everyone knows Maddie. She's a real sweetheart with a heart of gold. Her parents own the bakery where she works. So that must have been where she got those gingerbread cookies from that she was delivering to the restaurant. Her father makes them every year around this time, and each year they get better and better. If you have a sweet tooth, you will want to go visit the bakery and talk to him. I'll definitely do that. After putting the groceries away, he was bored, so he decided to go back into town and check out all the stores and the people that run them. He put on his coat and boots and headed out. His first stop was at the bookstore, thinking that he would pick up a book to read. When he got there and found a novel that he wanted to read, he went to the cashier and paid for it. It was a teenager that was behind the counter, and he didn't think that she would be the right one to talk to, so he decided to wait until the owner was there. When he got to the bakery, he stopped and decided to go in and see if Maddie was working. But when he opened the door and walked in, he saw a woman in her late 40s behind the counter. He didn't have a sweet tooth, but did not want to be rude by walking in and out again without buying something. Hello, young man. Is there something I can get for you? He looked at her with a smile on his face. I'm not really sure what I want. I just thought I would come in and see what catches my eye. Just then Maddie walked in from the back room, and they looked at each other for a moment without speaking. Hi, she finally said, placing a tray of pastries down. Josie looked from one to the other. Do you two know each other? Ryan let out a chuckle. We met when I knocked her down earlier. Maddie looked at her mother. It was when I was delivering the cookies, and I wasn't watching where I was going, and the door opened and knocked me down. Mom, this is the reporter from New York, Ryan Webster. It's a pleasure to meet you. You must meet my husband. She turned her head and called out, Ted, come out here for a minute. After they were introduced and shook hands, Ted gave him a warm smile. Welcome to our little town. I hope your accommodations are to your satisfaction. Yes, it is. It's a lovely cabin. I wish I could talk some more, but I've got a batch of cookies in the oven that I need to get out right away. Ryan looked around the store. God, it smells so good in here. You have so many amazing things, and I don't know which one to pick. Our cinnamon rolls are a big hit among our customers. Then I'll take two, he said, giving Josie a warm smile. She placed it in a box and handed it to him. These are on the house. Oh no, let me pay for them. Nonsense. It's our way of welcoming you to our town. Is there anything else we can do for you? There is one thing. Just name it. I could really use someone to show me around town and introduce me to some of the store owners and the people that live here. Maddie can do it. Mom, Maddie said, shocked that her mother would volunteer her without asking first. I have to work. Dear, it's okay. Your father and I can handle everything for a couple of days. Who better to help him than you? You know everybody here, and who would be the best ones to give him what he needs? Maddie looked over at Ryan. I'd be happy to help you. That is if you want me to. Little did she know that it was her he wanted to show him around. I'd like that very much. I'll pick you up here tomorrow around 10 if that's okay with you. Okay, I'll see you then. When he left the store, Josie put her arm around Maddie's shoulder. Oh my, he is so handsome, and I think he likes you. Mom, How can you say that? We just met and he doesn't know me. I know he does because I saw the way he was looking at you. He is nice, but he's only here for a few weeks. I'm sure he's got a wife or a girlfriend back home. I do agree though, he is very handsome. He hasn't got a wife or girlfriend. How could you possibly know that? If there were a woman in his life, I doubt very much that she would let him come here alone for almost a month. After they locked up and cleaned, her parents went upstairs to their apartment above the store, and Maddie went to her tiny apartment down the street. As she was walking home, she couldn't stop thinking about Ryan. She liked his eyes and his smile. Her mother was right. If he was attached, no woman would let him move all the way to Alaska without her. She knew she wouldn't. She realized that even though she was attracted to him, it was better not to get involved. There would be no point as he would be leaving when his time here was up. At the cabin, he made himself a coffee and took out one of the cinnamon rolls and started eating it. It was the best one he had ever tasted in his whole life. He couldn't wait for the following day to see Maddie again. There was something about her that piqued his interest. It wasn't just her beauty. There was a sweetness about her that was so pure that got him wanting to know more about her. It didn't hurt that she had a great body, beautiful long blonde hair and eyes that melted your heart when you looked into them. He was never one for a lot of Christmas decorations and lights, but tonight for some reason he decided to plug in the outside lights. Once they were plugged in, he threw on his coat and walked outside and stood in front of his cabin and stared up at it. He thought it was so sweet that someone had put lights up. Whoever it was, it looked so beautifully lit up that he stood there for a good 10 minutes staring at them. It got him thinking that maybe he should put some decorations up inside and maybe even get a small tree. When he went back inside and threw on a pair of pajama bottoms, he went through his one case that carried his laptop and his notepads. He wanted to be prepared to take notes when he started talking to the people in town. He was so excited about seeing her tomorrow that it took him a long time to fall asleep. Chapter 3. Waking up, he showered, changed and made himself some coffee and a bite to eat. Before leaving the cabin he put on some cologne, wanting to make a good impression on Maddie. He made his way to the bakery shop, where Maddie would be waiting for him. As soon as he entered the store, the aroma of delicious fresh baked goods hit his nostrils, and he took a deep breath. I can't get over how amazing it smells in here. Josie was grinning ear to ear. She just loved hearing the compliment Ryan was giving. Thank you. Would you like to try something while you're here? He looked over at Maddie. Not right now, but maybe later. We ought to get going if you're ready. I'm ready, she said as she reached for her coat. It surprised her when he took the coat from her hand and helped her into it. She could feel his warm breath on the back of her neck, which sent a tingling feeling through her body. She cleared her throat. Where would you like to start first? It doesn't matter to me. You pick. As they left the shop, she headed down the street towards the church. I think maybe we'll start there and you can meet our minister. He's been here his whole life and can tell you how this town came to be. When they entered the church, Father Murray walked over to them and greeted her. Lovely to see you, my dear. And who is your friend? After introducing them, they went to his office and sat down. Ryan took a liking to Father Murray, who was in his early 80s, but still as spry as a young man. He took notes as the man told the story of how a handful of people built the town from scratch. He showed him pictures that were taken way back and told Ryan the history of where they came from. For almost 2 hours, he kept writing in his notepad, and after that Saturday back and listened to the minister talk about his life, his wife, his children, and where they were today. Maddie finally stood up and said that they had other places to go, and gave Father Murphy a hug before saying goodbye. I hope you and your young friend here will come next week and help us wrap the gifts for the kids. I can't speak for Ryan, but you know I'll definitely be here. Ryan looked at the two of them and nodded his head. I'd be delighted to help. He was willing to do anything to spend more time with her. After that, they went and visited a couple of the other store owners. By the time they were done, it was starting to get dark and all the Christmas lights were coming on. This town really goes all out with the decorations and lights, don't they? And isn't it a little early? It's only 3.5 weeks until Christmas and there's so much to do. Like what? He asked curiously. Well, there's the decorating of the park's tree, the Santa Claus parade. Every time around this year, we gather up donations of gifts to give to some of the less fortunate families who can't afford gifts for their children. So that's what I volunteered for, to wrap those gifts. You really don't have to do that. He stopped to look at her. No, I want to and I'm looking forward to it. So what else goes on around here during the Christmas season? Well, after the tree in the park is decorated, we have a tree lighting get-together, where we bring baked goods and hot cider and hot cocoa. The men make a small skating area for the children to skate on. There are a few other things we do, and the one thing I like is our Christmas Eve party for the adults. We all dress up in cute little Santa Claus suits. A little smirk appeared on his face. Now that's a shame. What do you mean by that? I just mean it would be a shame to cover up such a gorgeous body as yours in a Santa Claus suit. Oh, we women were something a little less sheer than that, she blurted out without thinking how it would sound. I mean, we wear a Santa hat, and the dress is red with white trim around it. Oh God, I didn't mean to make it sound like it's some kind of X-rated outfit. He thought it was cute how her cheeks turned a bright red. It's okay, but I wouldn't mind seeing you in an X-rated outfit. Again she blushed. I think we've had enough for today. Right away he knew he had crossed a line with her, making her uncomfortable. I'm sorry, I was just joking and I didn't mean anything by it. Please forgive me and let's forget I said that. She could tell he was being sincere, which made her feel a little bit more relaxed. I forgive you, but it is starting to get late, so maybe we should continue this tomorrow. He didn't want to end their time together so quickly, so he had to come up with something. I was wondering, where can I buy some Christmas tree decorations? Of course, I'll need a tree too. There's a lot just around the corner that sells Christmas trees. She points to a store, and over there you can get everything you need from the lights to the decorations. Will you come with me to pick out a tree, and then help me get the ornaments and lights? When he saw her hesitating, he continued speaking. I have no idea what type or size of a tree to buy, and I certainly don't know how to decorate one. I could really use your help, and I'll even pay you for your time. You've never decorated a tree before? She asked, wondering how that could be possible. No, my parents always had someone do it for them. I don't know why they even bothered, because they were never home for Christmas. She could hear the sadness in his voice, and wondered what the story was behind his words. I know it's none of my business, but are you and your parents not close? He looked at her for a split second before looking away. No, we never were. Since he didn't indulge any more information, she wasn't going to pressure him. It sounded to her like he never had a good Christmas, and something inside her wanted him to experience the wonders of it. I'll be happy to help you pick out a tree and the decorations. I'll pay you. She shook her head. I don't want to be paid. You helping out with wrapping the gifts will be payment enough. Maybe you could even help the men put the lights on the tree in the park. He just couldn't say no to her. It'll be my pleasure, and it sounds like a lot of fun. It is, and while you and the others are doing that, we women will be serving hot cocoa, hot cider and Christmas cookies. Shall we go pick out the tree now? He asked, loving how her eyes sparkled. With her help, they picked out the perfect tree and size for the cabin, and he was delighted when they said they would deliver it within the hour. In the meantime, they went to the store and she helped him pick out the tree stand, lights and some decorations. If you will come back to my place and help me put the tree up and decorate it, I'll treat you to dinner. Well, I certainly can't leave you on your own to do it. Lord only knows how it will turn out if I do. Are you sure you don't mind? And should you let your parents know you won't be home for dinner? I don't live with my parents. I have my own little apartment. Now we should get these things back to your place, because I'm sure your tree will be there by now. They made the 10-minute walk back to his cabin, both loaded up with the decorations. When they got there, she carried everything inside, while he went to get the tree, which was placed beside the building. She placed the tree stand near the fireplace and waited for him. Once the tree was up, he reached for a box of balls and started putting them on the tree. He stopped and looked at her when she started giggling. What's so funny? You know you have to put the lights on first before you put the decorations on. He let out a hearty laugh. Thank goodness you're here, otherwise I would have made a total disaster of it. As soon as the lights were on, she plugged them in to make sure they worked. Perfect, she said as she reached for the boxes of decorations and handed him one. Now for the fun part. I was thinking that since it's getting kind of late, maybe I could order some takeout. Putting an ornament on the tree, she looked over at him. I'm afraid they don't have food delivery here, but if you want, I could maybe go into your kitchen and make us something. I think you're doing too much for me already. Why don't I just walk into town and grab something and bring it back while you finish up here? Are you sure? It is getting cold out there, and by the time you get back our food won't be hot. That's okay. We can heat it up in the oven. I'll just grab my coat. Is there anything in particular you would like? Anything you pick is fine with me. While he was gone, she finished with the tree and thought it would be a nice touch to have a fire going by the time he got back. He returned an hour later with a tray of lasagna and some garlic bread, which he placed in the oven to warm up. "Thank you for getting the fireplace going. It's a really nice touch and makes the room feel so cozy and warm." He opened up a bottle of red wine, and they sat down at the kitchen table and ate their meal. "So do you have a boyfriend?" "No, well, I did have, but he left a year ago when he got a job offer in Boston. I hadn't heard from him since." "Was it serious between the two of you?" "I'm sorry, I'm asking too many personal questions and it's none of my business, but I can't believe that any man would be fool enough to leave a woman like you." "It's okay, it's not a big secret. He did ask me to go with him and at the time it was serious." "So why didn't you go?" "We dated for a couple of years, and I thought I was in love with him, but when he got this job offer and asked me to go, that was when I realized that even though I loved him, I wasn't in love with him. I also didn't want to leave this place. It's my home and I love it and the people here." "Well, at least you realized you weren't in love with him before it was too late. I also don't blame you for not wanting to leave here. It's a beautiful place and everyone is so wonderful and kind." When they were done eating and drinking their wine, she helped him wash up the dishes and put them away. "I guess I should go home now." "It's not that late. Can't you just stay for a little while longer? I could make us some hot cocoa with marshmallows and we could sit and admire your handiwork on the tree." "I guess I could stay just a little longer, and we do still have to put the star on top of the tree. I also love hot cocoa with marshmallows, so you've talked me into it." Chapter 4. Sitting down on the sofa with their cocoa, they watched the lights on the tree twinkling. It was so cozy with the fireplace going. "I have to say, my lady, you did a fabulous job on the tree." "Thank you, and I loved doing it. This cocoa was so delicious." "I'm glad you enjoyed it. Would you like another one?" "One more and then I really do have to get going." He was only gone a few minutes, and came back carrying 2 mugs of hot cocoa. When he saw her standing on the small ladder with the star in her hand, when he noticed how wobbly it was, he placed the hot drinks down and got to her just as it tipped over and caught her in his arms. "You really have to be more careful, especially on this old ladder." Her heart was beating rapidly in her chest as she stared into his eyes. Her one arm had automatically gone around the back of his neck. I just thought I would put the star up and I didn't realize how wobbly it was. I'm just glad I was here to catch you. You could have been seriously hurt." She could feel her face getting red. She cleared her throat as she shyly looked away. "I think you can put me down now." He didn't want to put her down. Her small frame felt so nice in his arms, and when he did put her down, he reached up to place a strand of her hair behind her ear. He slowly lowered his head with the intention of kissing her, but before he got too close, she backed away from him. "It's late and I've got to get going." "But what about your hot cocoa?" "I'm sorry, maybe another time," she said as she reached for her coat and slipped into her boots. "So I'll see you tomorrow, right?" "Yeah, I guess so. Just wait and I'll walk you back to your place." "No, it's okay. But it's late and it's dark out." She looked at him when she went to open the door. "It's only a few minutes back to town, and I've done it before many times. Good night, Ryan. I'll see you tomorrow." He stood at the door watching her until she disappeared out of sight. Going back inside and shutting the door, he slammed his fist against the frame. He was so mad at himself for rushing things and scaring her away. Most women he had gone out with would have let him kiss her, but Maddie was different. She wasn't the type to kiss a man she had only known for a couple of days. At first, he wanted just to get into her pants, but that changed moments after he had talked to her. Needless to say, he had a restless night's sleep, and when he got up in the morning, he hoped that she would still be willing to help him. He made his way into town and to the bake shop. Maddie was nowhere to be seen, so he asked her mother where she was. "She made a small delivery for us and should be on her way back now." "You're welcome to wait." "I appreciate that, but I think I'll pop over to the diner and grab a coffee, and if I don't meet her on the way I'll come back here." Just when he reached the diner, he saw her walking down the street toward him. He let out a breath of relief when he saw her. "I'm so sorry I'm late." He held up his hand to stop her. "It's okay. Your mother told me you were making a delivery. I was just going in to grab a coffee to take out. Can I get you one?" "Yes, please. Milk and 1 sugar." She waited outside for him. She had trouble sleeping after leaving his place. All she could think about was the near kiss that they almost shared. She could still remember how it felt feeling her heart beating against her chest, and how she was wanting him to kiss her. but before his lips could touch hers, she backed away from him and made her escape as quickly as she could. It didn't make any sense to her how she could feel this way about a man she had just met, and it scared her. Her thoughts were interrupted when she heard him calling her name and handing her the coffee. "Maddie, about last night. I just wanted to apologize. I shouldn't have tried to kiss you. Can we just forget it happened? I really need your help getting to know this town." She was never one to hold a grudge or to disappoint anyone, so pushing aside her feelings, she gave him a sweet smile. "It's forgotten, and I am happy to help you. I thought today I would take you to Santa's workshop." He looked at her and raised an eyebrow. "Santa's workshop? You're not saying he's a real Santa, are you?" She started walking with him following beside her. "So you don't believe in Santa Claus?" "I did when I was 7 years old. Part of my assignment is to find out why this town claims they have Santa living here." She glanced over at him as she took a sip of her coffee. "Who's to say there isn't a Santa Claus? He could be real." "Come on, Maddie. You're an intelligent woman, so surely you know he doesn't exist. Have you not ever gotten one gift that no one can explain how it got there? One that no one bought for you?" "My parents always had their staff pick up gifts and put them under the tree for me when I was little. There was something I wanted so badly, and every year I would pray for it, and I never got it. So if there really was a Santa Claus, why didn't I get what I so desperately prayed for?" "I can't answer that, but I think it's so sad that your parents weren't the ones that picked out your gifts. It sounds like you had a lonely childhood." "Let's just say that my parents never wanted children. I was what you would call an accident. I would rather not talk any more about it." She let the subject drop, but it made her sad just knowing what a sad and lonely life he must have had growing up. "Well, we're here." He looked up at what appeared to be a barn, painted red. "This is Santa's workshop. Were you expecting something different?" "Well, if he's the real Santa Claus, wouldn't he have a huge place with a bunch of elves making toys?" I hear a hint of sarcasm in your voice. "I never said he was Santa Claus. Shall we go in, or have you changed your mind?" "Let's go," he said, following behind her. When they entered, it was nothing that he was expecting. As he looked around, he saw so many homemade toys, such as little red wagons, doll buddies and cribs, toy cars and other assorted items. To the side, there was a bench with parts ready to be assembled, but there were no little people making the toys. "Maddie, what a pleasure to see you." Ryan turned his head, and there was a stout man with white hair and a white beard. He was the spitting image of what Santa Claus is portrayed to look like. "Hi, Nick. I'd like to introduce you to Ryan Webster." She looked over at him. "Meet Nick. He makes a lot of the toys that are given to the children." "So, Mr. Webster, I understand you're here to interview some of us. So why don't we go sit down, and you can ask me any questions you want. Maddie, why don't you go out back and talk to the missus? I know she would love to see you." Ryan took out his pen and notepad. "So Nick, are you the real Santa Claus?" Nick laughed and his belly shook. "Some people seem to think I am. I see in your eyes that you don't believe there could be such a person. I did when I was little, but like every sane person in the world, I grew up and stopped believing in fairy tales." He noticed that Nick did not give him an answer to his question. After an hour of talking to him and taking notes, he was shown around. "Making these toys is a hobby of mine that I love doing ever since I was a small lad. The best part is seeing the look on the little children's faces when they get one. I could use some help loading them onto the sleigh when we celebrate the lighting of the Christmas tree in the park. Would you be interested?" "I don't know. I still have more people to talk to, and I also have to start writing my article." "Maddie will be there. It's just that I already promised to help with the lights on the tree, but I suppose that since I'm going to be there anyways, I could help out." Nick scratched his beard as he looked at Ryan. "We all love Maddie. She's a very sweet girl, and I would hate to see her get hurt." "Why would she get hurt?" "I've seen the way you look at each other. You like her." "I do. She's a terrific girl and has been a big help in introducing me to people and telling me some of the backgrounds of the town." "Why do you think I would hurt her?" "You're only here for a short time, and if anything were to happen between the two of you, and when you leave she will be heartbroken. Don't mess with her heart." Ryan never got to answer because at that moment she walked in and asked if he was ready to go. He knew in his heart that Nick was right, so he vowed that from this point on, he would do nothing to encourage a relationship between them. After going to visit a few more people and taking notes, he walked her back to her place. When she offered to have him come in for a coffee, he said yes without thinking about it. He looked around the tiny apartment, When you walked in the door, there was a small living room and a tiny kitchen straight ahead. There was a small bathroom and a medium-sized bedroom. This really is small. She poured them each a coffee and set them down on the tiny table. Yes, it is, but it's big enough for me and it is cozy. I'm trying to think of who next you should talk to. This was his opportunity to get some space between them. Actually, I think I can handle the rest on my own. You've been a really big help and I really appreciate it. She had to admit that she was a little disappointed and wondered why he had a change of heart. Okay, I really need to get back to the shop and help my parents. This time of year is very busy for them and I should be there helping. He finished the last of his coffee and stood up. I won't keep you any longer. Thanks for the coffee. She handed him his coat. Are you still going to come to the church and help us wrap the gifts? I did promise, so I'll be there. And Nick talked me into helping him load the sleigh in between helping with the tree lights. Looks like I'm going to be a very busy man. Plus, I still have to write out my column. She walked him over to the door. I guess we'll see you there then. You know, there's still one thing I haven't found out yet, and nobody seems to be able to tell me. What's that? The magical mistletoe that makes people fall in love when they kiss under it. I don't know anything about that, but perhaps some of the older people you meet at the gift wrapping or the tree lighting might be able to tell you something. Good night, Maddie. Thanks for everything. Before he could stop himself, he leaned over and kissed her on the cheek. Their eyes locked together for a brief moment before he turned around and left. That night he started writing out a sample to send to his boss back in New York, but his mind kept wandering to Maddie and how he wanted to kiss her on the lips instead of the cheek. Chapter 5. A few days had gone by and Ryan never attempted to see Maddie, but he would be seeing her when he goes to help with the gift wrapping. Something he promised to do. It's not that he didn't want to see her, but he didn't want anything to happen between them. It wouldn't be fair to her since he would be leaving soon. Maddie was busy helping her mother in the shop when Josie looked at the clock. It's almost time for you to go. When she noticed how sad her daughter looked, she put her arm over her shoulder. What's wrong? Nothing. Is it that young man? What? Maddie asked, looking at her mother. You haven't seen him in a while. I think you are missing him. Mom, am I crazy for having feelings for someone I hardly know? I know it can't go anywhere, because just like Carly's leaving, and I won't see him again. I know, sweetheart, but you never know what the future holds. It's time for you to go. Maddie was busy wrapping the gifts with some of the others for over an hour, and Ryan still hadn't shown up. She was giving up hope that he would come when all of a sudden she saw him walk in. Her heart fluttered a little when he started walking towards her. I'm sorry I'm late. I was busy working on my computer and lost track of the time. So where would you like me? There's a spot here beside me, she replied, pushing the wrapping paper and some tape over. He got behind the table and stood beside her. Okay, I've never wrapped before, so you have to guide me. On this table, we're wrapping gifts for girls. The silver paper is for the baby's gifts. There are 2 shades of pink for children to 4 years old. For 4 and up, you need to wrap it in bright pink. He picked up one of the items and cut the paper, and when he went to wrap it, he found it was too small, so he had to cut a larger piece. She watched him struggle and started giggling when she saw the mess he was making with it. Here, watch me while I wrap it for you. He watched as she wrapped the awkward gift with no problem. You're really good at this. She smiled back at him. It's really easy, that I have had a lot of practice. Go ahead, try another one, and I suggest you use one that's in a square box. They're so much easier to wrap. Of course, he heard her laughing again when he folded the corners perfectly, but when he went to take a piece of tape from the roller, it got tangled up. He looked over at her and nudged her with his elbow. Stop laughing at me. It's only making me nervous. I couldn't help it when I saw you take a large piece of tape for just a tiny corner. You really only need a little bit. Since she and some of the others were there early, they were given a break and an older woman took Maddie's place. So you are the reporter from New York. I'm Jessica. This was his perfect opportunity to talk to someone who might know about the mystery of the mistletoe. So tell me something, Jessica. I've heard rumors that Fairbanks possesses a magic mistletoe. Can you tell me anything about that? Is this for the article you're writing? Yes, it is. So is it true? I think that's just a myth, but some people swear it's true. There have been times when a young couple kiss for the first time under the mistletoe, and the next thing you know they're in love. So I guess it could be true. But does the town have a special mistletoe that they put out every Christmas? Come to think of it, every year, one appears in the church decoration box, one that always looks a little different from the one the year before. If it's true and there is a magical mistletoe, I just hope I'm the first one to kiss you under it, she said and burst out laughing when she saw the look on his face. When Maddie came back from her break and took her spot next to him, she had brought him back a cup of hot chocolate. I figured you might need this after working 𝑷𝒍𝒂𝒚𝒍𝒊𝒔𝒕. She loves to kid around with the guys and I hope she didn't embarrass you. I found her refreshing and delightful. Thanks for the hot chocolate. So, how have you been making out the last couple of days without me? I mean talking to some more people. It was okay, but it wasn't as much fun without you. I did however get some more information on the people in town. In fact, when I get back to the cabin, I'll be able to write up more on my article, so that I can send it to my boss tonight. She's been on my bum to send her something. When she looked at him, he has some whipped cream on his upper lip, so she reached up and using her thumb wiped it off of him. When she did that he took a hold of her hand, and looked at the dab of cream on her finger. Oh, how he wanted to stick her finger in his mouth and lick it, but knowing where he was and that there were people all around him he let go of her hand. Thank you, he said as he avoided looking at her. People were coming and going. Some were leaving early and some taking their place. A good-looking young man came over and stood on the other side of Maddie. Hey Maddie, you look really pretty today. You always say that, Derek, but thank you. Oh, have you met Ryan Webster? No, I haven't. He reached his hand over to shake Ryan's. It's nice to meet you and I hope that everyone is cooperating with you. Everyone has been so nice and helpful, he replied. For some reason, he did not like the way Derek was standing so close to her and how friendly he was being. Well, if you want a good piece for your article, you should write some stuff up on our girl here. Derek, stop, she said, shaking her head. Ryan's interest was piqued. Why is that? Well, for one thing, last year, she risked her life to save a young girl who had fallen through the ice in the pond, and every year, she goes to the hospital and visits the kids in the children's sick ward and takes them some gifts. I'm surprised that nobody has told you that she is actually our town's hero. Ryan looked at her. Why didn't you ever tell me any of this? It's just the kind of thing my readers back in New York would love to hear about. You've got to tell me more about it and let me interview you. Anyone would have done the same thing, and I don't consider myself a hero. There are more interesting people here that you still haven't interviewed yet. I think I've interviewed just about everyone that has an interesting story to tell. You haven't interviewed Pete Robinson. Who's he? He owns and runs the weekly paper. He started it up many years ago. Grant you, it is just a small paper, and it just talks about upcoming events and anything that might be of interest to the people. Yes, and the best article he ever posted was about Maddie being the town's hero. Derek hyped up. Again Ryan looked at Maddie. Now he sounds like an interesting man, one that I could get a lot of good stuff from. Why didn't you tell me about him or introduce me to him? I was going to introduce you to him that day. You told me you didn't need me any longer. She still felt sad about that day, so she excused herself and went over to talk to another woman at the far end of the room. Ryan looked at Derek. So where can I find this Pete feller? His place is just on the edge of town, but he's away for the week. He'll be back for the tree lighting though. You know that old devil runs the place on his own. He writes the articles and prints the paper right there in his building all by himself. It took a while for the gifts to be wrapped, and when they were done some of the people were going over to the diner to have a bite to eat. Since Derek was going and so was Maddie, Ryan decided he would go also. Maybe it was because he was a little jealous of the young man and didn't want him to be the one to sit beside her. They all shared several appetizers, along with some drinks. Once Derek had left, Ryan knew it was safe to leave her alone. This has been a lot of fun, but I have to get back to the cabin and write my article. If I don't send it out by morning, my boss will have me by the balls. He turned to look at her, not wanting to leave. I had a lot of fun today and I'm looking forward to the tree lighting. I'm sure I'll see you there. I'll be there, she said, giving him a warm smile. When everybody else was leaving to go, they were pleasantly surprised to hear that Ryan had paid the tab. It was then that Maddie noticed his notepad on the table. Picking it up and knowing how he needed these notes so that he could write his article, she figured she would take it to him. She called her mother to let her know where she was going. I don't think you should go there tonight, dear. It just came over the radio that there is a major storm coming this way. I'm looking out the window now and the snow is coming down pretty heavy. It's okay, Mom. I'll be there and back before it gets really bad. I won't stay and I'll let you know when I get back. She placed her phone down on the table while she put on her coat, sticking Ryan's notepad inside her coat pocket. She stepped outside just as the wind picked up and the snow started blowing all over the place. She knew that she would have to hurry to get back, and if it wasn't for the fact that he needed his notepad, she would have waited until the storm had passed. An hour later, Josie and Ted locked up their store for the evening. When he noticed the worried look on his wife's face, he went up to her and placed his hands on her shoulders. "Sweetheart, what's wrong? Maddie should have been back by now. It's been an hour already. I'm sure she's at home." "No, Ted. She said she would call me as soon as she got back. Just look at it outside. It's a bloody blizzard and I'm worried sick about her. I called her phone but didn't get an answer. Give Ryan a call and see if she was there and had left already." "Yes, I do have his number." She dialed his number and after a few rings he picked up. "Ryan, is Maddie there with you?" "She's not." "Oh my God. She left an hour ago for your place and she hasn't returned. It's storming outside so bad and she's out there alone and it's getting dark. Ted and I are going to go out looking for her." She listened to what Ryan had to say. "Okay, please if you find her call us right away and let us know." When she hung up, Ted asked her what Ryan had said. "She never showed up there, and he told us to stay where we are and that he would go out looking for her. I know that she knows her way there and back even with her eyes closed. But we have never had a storm hit this hard or so fast ever. Why if she got lost or fell down and can't get up? I'm so scared for our baby." He held his wife in his arms and stroked her back as he tried to comfort her, even though he was just as worried. "I'm sure there's a perfectly good explanation, and that there's a good reason why she hasn't called us. I'm sure Ryan will find her." Chapter 6. When he got the call from Josie about Maddie, he felt as though he was going to be sick. Looking outside and seeing how bad the storm was, he feared the worst. Throwing on his coat and boots, he grabbed a flashlight and headed out. It was storming so bad, he couldn't even see his feet and was worried he wouldn't find her. There was no way he could see if he was following the path or not. Never had he known such a storm that started as quickly as this one, and the amount of snow that fell was really scary. It was already up to his knees, and as he kept walking he continued to yell out her name, hoping she would hear him. He hadn't gone far when he heard a faint noise. He could barely hear it, but it sounded like someone was calling his name. At this time he was freezing as he kept calling her name and moving the flashlight all around. Maddie was sitting by a tree with her arms crossed and shivering as she tried to keep warm. The wind blowing the snow around caused her to lose track of the path. As she kept moving, her foot got caught in a branch that was sticking up and she fell, twisting her ankle. She tried to stand, but the pain was so bad that she couldn't walk, so she leaned up against the tree. She was hoping that the storm would die down before she froze to death. She knew that people would come looking for her when she didn't return home. When she checked her pocket for her phone, she realized she left it at the restaurant. She was so cold and started to feel sleepy, but knew she had to stay awake or she would freeze to death. Just when she didn't think she could hold on any longer, she thought she heard Ryan's voice calling her name. She found the strength to call out to him. He noticed a dark shadow against a tree. As he moved closer to the sound of her voice, he rushed over and squatted down, touching her cheek. "Maddie, you have to stay awake," he said as he scooped her up in his arms. Even though he was only a few feet from his cabin, the blowing snow made it difficult for him to see where he was going. He could feel her body shaking, and knew he had to get her inside and warm her up. It seemed to take forever to reach his cabin, and opening the door, he kicked off his boots and carried her over to the couch and sat her down. He took off her boots and her coat and wrapped the throw cover around her. She was still shaking and her lips were quivering. "Maddie, we've got to get you out of these damp clothes. I'll be right back," he said as he hurried to his bedroom and looked for something she could wear. He came back with one of his shirts and squatted in front of her. "Take off your clothes and put this on." Seeing the look on her face, he knew exactly what she was thinking. "I'm not going to look. Go over closer to the fireplace and change into this, and in the meantime, I'll go into the kitchen and make you some hot cocoa." She nodded her head and waited until he had left the room. She was cold to the bone and had difficulty standing up. Slowly making her way to the fireplace and with frowning fingers, she started undoing the buttons on her blouse. Once she had everything off, including her underwear, she put on his shirt. He had come back carrying 2 mugs. He looked at her as she stood in front of the fireplace with her arms crossed. The shirt was too big on her. It covered her down past her bum. He noticed that she had her clothes hanging on the hook by the fireplace, even her bra and panties. It may be a cliché and a bit cheesy, but he thought it was very SI seeing a woman in a man's shirt. He went over and handed her the mug, which she took with shaky hands. "I have never been this cold in my whole life," she said as she wrapped her hands around the mug of cocoa. "Come sit down and drink your cocoa. It will warm you up." Putting his own mug down, he went and added more wood to the fireplace. Thank you for rescuing me. He went and Saturday beside her. Reaching for a different throw cover, he placed it around her shoulders. Why would you come out here in this kind of weather? You could have died out there. You left your notepad at the restaurant and I knew that you needed it for your article. It was true, he did need it, but he also knew it wasn't worth risking one's life for. It wasn't worth coming out in this kind of weather. It wasn't storming that bad when I left the restaurant. It came on so hard and so fast. I would have been okay if I hadn't tripped on a branch and twisted my ankle. Why didn't you tell me you hurt your ankle? I should have known something was wrong when I saw you limping back over here to the couch. Let me take a look at it. I'm okay now, she said, but it did hurt when she limped back over to the couch with her hot cocoa in her hand. Ignoring her protest to look at it, he squatted down in front of her and lifted up the ankle she pointed to. He gently lifted her foot up and placed his hand over the ankle, checking to make sure she didn't have any serious injury. Does that hurt? When I add pressure to it? Just a little. But really it's okay. She felt the heat rising through her body when she felt his hand on her leg. He wasn't rubbing or touching in an actual way, but yet she felt herself getting turned on just by his light touch. He rubbed her ankle gently, not wanting to let go. Why didn't you use your phone to call either your mother or me? I think I left it in the restaurant. Oh God, I need to let my mother know that I'm okay. He finally let go of her ankle and looked up at her. I called her when I was making the hot cocoa and told her that you were here. We both agreed that you better stay put until the storm passes. She felt a little nervous, knowing that she was going to be alone in the cabin with a man who had her heart beating fast and her palms sweating whenever he was around her. How long do you think that will be? He Saturday beside her and picked up his mug. According to the man on the radio, the storm is the worst that's ever hit, and it could be a day or two before it lets up. Until then there's no way that a snowplow can get down the path to the cabin. What if the power goes out? He could see the concern on her face, but he knew it wasn't about the power. It was about being alone with him. We've got plenty of wood, so we'll be warm. I've got plenty of food that I can make that doesn't require electricity. But speaking of food, you must be getting hungry. I'll go make us something for dinner. I can help you. No. I want you to stay off that ankle for a while. You just sit here and keep warm. Before leaving the room, he picked up her clothes. I'll throw these in the washer and dryer. That way you'll have something fresh and clean to wear tomorrow morning. She laid down on the couch, covering herself with a throw blanket. Her eyes felt heavy and her body was warming up. And before she realized it, she had fallen asleep. Half an hour later, he returned with a tray that had 2 bowls and 2 glasses of milk on it. He placed the tray down on the coffee table and stood staring at her. She looked so beautiful and so peaceful. He didn't have the heart to wake her, but then her eyes opened and she sat up. That was quick, she said, rubbing her eyes. Embarrassed that she caught him staring at her, he cleared his throat. I actually made this earlier, and all I had to do was heat it up and make the garlic bread. She looked at what was in the bowl. Is that homemade stew? Yes, it's one of my specialties and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. He handed her the bowl. I hope you like it. She took one bite and smiled back at him. It's delicious. He picked up his bowl and Saturday beside her, handing her a piece of garlic bread. When we're done eating, you should go get some sleep. Where will I sleep? I mean, you only have one bed. You can have the bed and I'll sleep out here on the couch. Besides, I've got to write my article so that I can send it out in the morning. I'm sorry for being so much trouble. I guess you weren't expecting to be stranded here with someone. If I have to be stranded with someone, I'm glad it's with a beautiful woman. And you're not any trouble at all. He tried not to, but he couldn't help looking down at her legs. He was just thankful that she was too busy eating to notice. When they were done eating, he took the dirty dishes into the kitchen. He liked having her here with him, and it was taking all of his willpower not to kiss her. Going back to where she was and seeing that she was fighting to stay awake, he suggested she go to bed. When she stood up, he picked her up in his arms and started carrying her to his room. You don't have to carry me. I'm quite capable of walking. I told you that you need to stay off your ankle and I don't mind. Besides, you weigh next to nothing. I really hate taking your bed. I can sleep on the couch. She loved how strong he was and how he gently laid her down. I told you I need to work, and I can't do it in here, and besides, I wouldn't be much of a gentleman if I let a lady sleep on the couch. Now is there anything I can get you? She pulled the covers up to her chin. You've done enough for me already and I really appreciate it. When I was out there in the cold, I thought I was a goner. I had never been so scared in my whole life. He sat Saturday on the edge of the bed, When your mother called and told me you were out there, I was worried sick. You scared the shit out of me. And I was angry that you would risk everything just to bring me a bunch of stupid notes. She grabbed his hand when he went to get up. I don't want you to be angry with me. I'm not angry. I'm just glad I found you and that you're okay. You're a very special woman and this whole town loves you so much. Now, if you need anything, just call out. Not thinking anything about it, he leaned over and placed his lips on hers. It was a warm and gentle kiss, but it ended as quickly as it started. I'm sorry. I don't know what possessed me to do that. It's okay. I liked it. His breath hitched in his throat as he stood up suddenly. Have a good sleep, he said, reaching for a blanket and pillow as he walked out. Just that one soft kiss kept him up through the night. All he could think about was what it would be like to kiss her again, but this time with more passion. Chapter 7. After he typed out his latest article and went to send it, he found out there was no internet connection. With the storm being as it was, he should have known there wouldn't be, but at least he was able to type it out. Laying on the couch, he couldn't fall asleep, knowing there was a woman in his bed. How could he sleep when all he wanted to do was to be laying next to her? Not to mention that the couch was very uncomfortable to sleep on, so getting up, he went over to the window and watched the storm that was still raging. He turned his head when he heard the creaking of the floorboards. Can't you sleep? He asked, his eyes taking all of her in. She looked so SI in his shirt and couldn't stop from getting horny. I heard a noise. It's probably just some tree branches hitting against your window. She walked slowly over to where he was and looked out the window. It's not letting up. She was standing so close to him that he couldn't stop looking at her face. No, it's not. You should go back to bed and get off your feet. It's lonely in there by myself. She looked over at the couch. I'm sure that's not very comfortable to sleep on. It's not comfortable at all, but it's fine. She looked up at him, chewing on her bottom lip. I guess you could sleep in the bed with me. Oh Lord, he felt his heart rate rising. Was she really suggesting what he thought she was? You want me to sleep in the same bed with you? It's big enough for 2 people. You must be very innocent to suggest such a thing. If I go into the room with you and into bed, I may not be able to stop myself from taking you in my arms and making love to you. She stared into his eyes and without using any words, she placed the palms of her hands on either side of his face and kissed him. It wasn't a sweet kiss. It was one that was full of passion and desire. When she broke the kiss, she spoke quietly and softly. Take me to bed. The way her hands felt on his face, and the way she kissed him, his manhood hardened, lifting her up, and when she wrapped her legs around his waist, he kissed her as he carried her to the bedroom. With his foot, he shut the door and carried her over to the bed. The sound of the tree branches hitting against the window woke Ryan up. He turned his head to the beautiful blonde that was lying next to him. He smiled. He was glad that he had come prepared, stopping to buy some condoms before he headed to Alaska. Her back was to him, so he leaned over. Putting his arm around her waist, he kissed the side of her neck. He still couldn't believe that he had her naked in his bed. She moaned and opened her eyes. Good morning, she said sleepily. Turning onto her back, she stroked his cheek with her fingertips ever so gently. It certainly is, he replied, getting her a soft kiss on the lips. Last night was amazing. I just hope you have no regrets, and I don't want to hurt you. What makes you think you will hurt me? As I'm leaving Alaska at the end of the month, I don't want you to think I was just using you for sex. Maybe I shouldn't have made love to you, but I couldn't help myself. You are the sweetest and most amazing woman that I have ever met. It did make her sad that he was leaving, but she had no regrets. I know you're leaving soon, but I couldn't let you go without knowing what it would be like to spend at least one night with you. I don't regret what we did, and I will always remember and cherish it for the rest of my life. He kissed her, loving how it felt having her arms around him. An hour later, he took a shower and made them some breakfast while she took her turn showering. He got her clothes, and when she was in the shower, he placed them on the counter. He looked over and could see her silhouette through the shower curtain. Immediately his manhood got hard. After watching her clean herself for a moment, he began to feel like a peeping Tom. Worse yet, a pervert, so he quietly slipped out, closing the door behind him. She came into the kitchen fully dressed, but her hair was still a little wet since he didn't have a hairdryer. Something smells really good, she said as she looked at the food on her plate. There's nothing as sheer than a man who can cook. And there is nothing as sheer than watching a woman shower, he said to himself. Well, I never wanted to be dependent on someone to make my own meals, so I decided to learn, so I took some cooking lessons. I think the storm is letting up a little, but it still might be a while before the snowplow can make it up this way. During their breakfast, she decided to ask him about his ex. Would you like to tell me what happened between you and your ex? There's not that much to tell. We dated for a while and she wanted more than I did at the time. What exactly does that mean? She wanted to get married and start a family. So you never want to get married or have kids of your own? It's not that I don't. It's just that my career was picking up, and I wasn't ready to settle down. So we broke up, and shortly after that she got married to someone else, and I believe she has a son now. I'm sorry. He looked up at her. Don't be sorry. I'm not. To be honest, I don't think I was really in love with her. Don't get me wrong. I did care about her, and I just wanted things to stay as they were. But I'm glad she's happy. Are you happy though? Yeah, I am. I have a great job, and if the boss likes my article, I could very well get a promotion. I have a great apartment in New York. I make fantastic money. I met you, and that makes me very happy. I should give my parents a call and let them know that I'm okay. He got up and went into the living room, where his phone was, and brought it back to her. Here you go. You should be able to get through now. I'll give you some privacy. You don't have to leave. I have to put some more wood in the fireplace, and then see if I can send my article in. I'm sure it's working by now. After talking to her mother and letting her know that she was okay, she hung up and went to the living room and handed him his phone. My father says that the weather is still too bad for the snowplows to come out. They probably won't be here until tomorrow morning. I guess you're stuck with me for one more night. Grabbing her arm, he pulled her down onto his lap. Oh, I think I can handle that. But what in the world am I going to do with you? Placing her arm around his neck, she moved her face closer to his. I'm at your mercy, so I guess you can do whatever you want. He knew exactly what she was getting at and didn't waste any time in picking her up and carrying her to the bedroom where they spent the morning making love. That evening, they sat in front of the fireplace with a bottle of wine and talked. She got him to open up about his childhood and his parents. He told her that they never paid any attention to him, and when he refused to work for his father in the oil business, it disowned him. He hadn't heard from them in years and had no desire to do so. They weren't family. They were strangers that once lived under the same roof. She couldn't stop the tears that rolled down her face. It broke her heart to know that as a child, he never knew the love between a child and a parent. Don't do that. Don't feel sorry for me. I've done all right for myself and I have plenty of friends. But I promise that someday if I ever do have children, I will be the father they deserve. He was very surprised that he opened up to her as much as he had. She was the only one he had ever told any of this to, not even his ex. Let's do something to take our minds off of it. He wiggled his eyebrows. Are you suggesting that we go back to the bedroom? He liked it when she started laughing. Her face lit up and she had such a sparkle in her eyes that melted his heart. No, she replied, rolling her eyes at him. Then what are you suggesting? We play some board games. I believe there are some under the TV in the cabinet. She walked over to the TV and squatted down, opened it, and pulled out 2 boxes. Okay, we got Scrabble, Battleship, and the rest are ones for kids. Take your pick. Well, I'm the best at both of those, so you go ahead and pick. Then I'll go with Scrabble. They played the game and he kept pouring her a glass of wine. Are you trying to get me drunk so that you can win? I don't need you drunk in order to win. Are you always this cocky? Just stating the truth, he said, winking at her. They continued to play, laughing and having a good time. The wine started to get to her and she was feeling sleepy. I'm done for the night. I think I'll go to bed. She stood up and put the game away. She looked at him and smiled. Are you coming or not? You bet I am. After making love, she drifted off to sleep and he lay there watching her. His heart was aching at the thought of leaving her to go back home. He knew he was going to miss her, miss having her in his bed at night and waking up to see her face in the morning. By morning the storm had passed and he knew that the snowplow would be coming by soon. Her mother had told him that the driver would pick Maddie up on his way back into town. She woke up and stretched and looked towards the window. The storm is over and Derek should be here soon. Derek? Why would he be picking you up? I thought it was the snowplow driver that was going to pick you up. He is the snowplow driver. Of all the men in this town, why him? Do you have a problem with him? Not really. It's just that he likes you. I know that shouldn't bother me, but it does. Derek and I are just friends, nothing more. I get the feeling he wants to be more than friends with you. I'm sorry, that's none of my business, and he does seem like a great guy. She swallowed the lump in her throat. I'd better get up and get dressed. You don't have to go. You can stay here with me. As much as I would like to, I need to get back and help my mother and father with the baking. We make all the cookies to serve to the kids and cupcakes to the adults for the night of the tree lighting. She got up and started putting her clothes on. I can come by later and take you out to dinner. I'm afraid that I'll be busy. With the power having gone out, they will be behind, and it will probably take us all day and tomorrow. I'm sorry, but I'm sure you still got people to talk to and to finish your articles. Yeah, I guess you're right. An hour later, Derek stopped in front of the cabin and honked his horn. Ryan put his hands on her waist and put her up against the door. I'll see you soon. She put her hands behind his head and pulled him in for a deep and passionate kiss. Yes, I'll be looking forward to it, she said and hurried out the door. Chapter 8. The afternoon rolled around and he was done doing what he needed to for the day. Feeling bored and missing Maddie, he decided to make the trip into town. It put a smile on his face every time somebody waved and wished him a Merry Christmas. He walked into the bakery and couldn't help but notice it was busy and Josie was by herself. Good evening, Mrs. Davison. I thought Maddie was going to be here helping you. She is, dear. She's in the back helping her father. Go see her if you want. He entered the back room and saw that the two of them were busy baking the cookies and other items. Ted noticed him first and gave him a huge smile. It's nice to see you again. I'm sorry I can't stop and talk to you. We are so behind because of the power outage. Maddie gave him a warm smile when she saw him. I wasn't expecting to see you today. I got finished with my work, so I figured I'd come and see if I could take you to lunch. I'm sorry, things are just too hectic right now. Ryan looked around. He watched Ted take out the tray of desserts from the oven and put more in. It looks like you could use a hand. Ted's head turned towards him. We certainly could use an extra pair of hands. You wouldn't consider helping, would you? I would be happy to. Just tell me what you want me to do. You could help Maddie decorate the cupcakes and cookies. Ryan took off his coat and rolled up the sleeves. He put on the apron she handed him. Why are you laughing at me? I was just remembering how you were at wrapping gifts. I can't imagine what the cookies and cupcakes will look like after you decorate them. He stood beside her and bumped her in the shoulder with his. Very funny. Just tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it. Just watch what I do and then you do the same. After showing him how to use the thing to put the icing on the cupcake, she burst out laughing when he squeezed it and all the icing came squirting out all over the place. Ted looked over to see what all the laughter was about and shook his head. I don't think baking is your cup of tea, young man, he said jokingly and got back to putting more trays into the oven. Oh, it's not that bad, Ryan said as he stuck his finger in the icing and licked it. This is good. He used a different finger and scooped up more icing and put it on the tip of her nose and started giggling. Leaning over, he whispered in her ear, if your father wasn't here, I'd spread this icing all over your body and lick it off of you. Oh my God, you're so bad. He knew she wasn't mad when she started laughing, but all of a sudden, he found a big spoonful of icing all over his cheek. You're going to pay for that, he said as he wiped it off with a towel, meanwhile smiling at her. 4 hours later, it was getting close to closing the store and the baking was done. There was just some decorating left to do. Ted wiped his hands and smiled at all the baking that had been completed. Everything looks good and I thank you both so much for helping me and Josie out. We couldn't have done it without you. So why don't the two of you call it a day? Ryan turned to her. Can I take you out to dinner? Well, I am hungry, so yes, I would love to have dinner with you. Every restaurant was busy, so they decided to grab some takeout and take it back to her place, since she didn't live far away. You've bought enough food to feed an army, she said as she dished out their Chinese food onto plates. Shall I open the wine? Yes, please. She looked over at him as he was opening the wine. She couldn't believe that he was not only gorgeous and had a great body, but he was also a very nice man, one she could see spending the rest of her life with. But then again, she knew that was just a dream. Soon he would be going back to his life in New York and would probably forget all about her. Are you okay? He asked when he saw the worried look on her face. Yeah, I'm fine. I guess I'm just really hungry, so let's sit down and eat. After they ate and the dishes were done up, they went in Saturday in the living room and finished their wine. It's getting late, so I should leave and let you go to bed. I am tired, but you don't have to leave. Are you saying you want me to spend the night with you? Here. Do you not want to? Hell yeah, I do. I just don't want your neighbors to see me leaving in the morning and gossip about you. I know what a tight-knit community this is, and it might get back to your parents. This is not the Middle Ages and people around here are very open-minded. I can assure you that there are many couples that spend the night together who aren't married. She got to her feet and held out her hand for him to take. Are you coming or not? Standing up, he removed his shirt and tossed it onto the sofa. Does this answer your question? Without answering him, she just took his hand and led him into the bedroom. She gasped when he grabbed her and pushed her up against the wall. A moan escaped her lips when he placed his mouth on her neck. The soft, feathery kisses he was placing down her neck and over her shoulders sent a wave of excitement and desire coursing through her body. They both woke up in the morning with a smile on their face. She rolled over on top of him when he opened his eyes. Had you been with a lot of women? He wrapped his arms around her. Why in the world would you ask me such a question? It's just that you're so good at what you do, so I figured you must have had a lot of practice. I never knew that a man could do the things that you do over and over again. I thought it was never going to end. Not that I'm complaining though. I never said I was a saint, and it doesn't matter how many women I've been with. What's important is that making love to you is the best I've ever had. It doesn't matter to me how many men you've had. You're my second. Really? I find that hard to believe. I only say that because you are so good, and must have had a lot of men chasing after you. But it does kind of stroke my ego to know that you've only been with one other man. God, your ex was a fool to leave a woman like you. I really hate to see this end. Not wanting him to see how sad she was feeling, she laid down flat on him, her cheek resting on his shoulder. I do too. He rolled her over onto her back and got on top of her. Let's just make the best of the time we have left together. I'm looking forward to going to the tree lighting. If you play your cards right, you might even get me to go ice skating. So the city boy knows how to skate, does he? There's a lot of things I can do. I can skate and ski. I've even gone rock climbing. Would you like to know the activity that I do better than anyone else? Sure. And what would that be? Instead of answering her, he lowered his mouth onto hers and showed her. Later, when he asked her what she was going to do that day, she told him she had to take some Christmas gifts over to the hospital to the children's ward. Yes, I heard that you do that every year, and that is so sweet of you. Would you mind if I tagged along? I don't mind, but don't you have work to do? There's not much more I can do until P. Robertson comes back to town. He sounds very interesting, and I really want to interview him for one of my articles. He helped her load the presents into the back of the taxi that picked them up. There weren't that many because, thankfully, there were only a few children that were in the hospital over the holidays. He was quite impressed with how friendly everyone from the doctors to the nurses was towards Maddie. Even the children squealed with delight when they saw her walk into their room. After delivering gifts to 9 of the patients, she headed towards another door. This little guy, Timmy, has been in here for several months. What's wrong with the little guy? He's been battling cancer most of his life, in and out of hospitals. He's a big fan of games, so I bought him a Game Boy. I know it's something he's been wanting. When they walked in, the bed was empty and the room was clean. I don't understand. I would have heard if they let him go home. When a nurse walked by, she called out to her, "Excuse me, where is Timmy?" The young nurse looked at Ryan and then at her with a very sad look on her face. I'm so sorry, but Timmy passed away a couple of hours ago. I'm sure that somebody was going to call you. Ryan saw the blood draining from her face and her eyes filled with tears. Maddie, I'm so sorry. I can tell that you were very attached to him. I was. He was the sweetest boy ever. After everything he went through, he always had a smile on his face and never complained. When she started to sob, he put his arm around her to comfort her the best he could. I'm so sorry to hear that. There's nothing worse than seeing a child suffer. At least you know he's not suffering anymore and is at peace. He took her back home and stayed with her the rest of the evening. She had received the call from Timmy's father, who was heartbroken. We want to thank you for being so kind to our little boy. We only had 7 years with him, but in the last couple of months, he was in so much pain, and I know that he is now resting peacefully. He loved you so much, Maddie. All he ever did was talk about you. His mother and I are taking him back to Kansas, where the rest of our family lives, and he will be buried there. We've decided not to come back, so thank you again, and please don't let this spoil your holidays. I know Timmy wouldn't want that. She hung up the phone and once again cried in Ryan's arms. She was so thankful that he was there with her. She couldn't have handled it alone. Ryan decided to write up an article on Timmy. He himself never knew the boy, which was expected since he didn't live there, but from what she had told him, he sounded like he was special and older beyond his years. He would gather up as much information as he could and see if his boss would add it to his column. He ended up spending the night again with her. There was no way he could leave her when she was this upset. The next day everyone was getting ready for that night's tree lighting. When he found out that Pete had returned home early, he went over to talk to him. Maddie was helping some of the ladies get ready with the hot drinks and the snacks. It was still early, so he had plenty of time to go talk to Pete and get back to help load the Christmas gifts into the Santa sleigh before helping with the tree lights. It was arranged that he would meet her there later. Chapter 9. Ryan made his way down to the building where Pete Robinson ran his newspaper. It was a beautiful day. The sun was shining and everybody was excited for the night's event to take place. He walked into the building, taking a quick look around. There were 2 desks. One was scattered with papers, pens and notebooks. The other desk was clutter-free. The only thing on it was a phone and a notepad. There was no one in sight, but he could hear noise coming from the back room. "Hello, is anyone here?" He waited a moment before calling out again, louder this time. "Mr. Robinson, are you here?" The door to the back room opened and out walked a man in his late 60s. He had on a pair of black pants, a white shirt and a vest. He was wiping his hands with a damp cloth. "Sorry, young man. I was just fixing the printing machine, and I got ink all over my hands. I'm sure you're not interested in that. So what can I do for you?" He held out his hand to shake Pete's. "I'm Ryan Webster, and I was wondering if I could take up a few minutes of your time." "Oh, so you must be the big city reporter that's come to our town to write up an article about us. How did you know? Didn't you just get back into town today?" "It's a small town and word gets around quickly. If you want to ask me questions, you'll have to come into the back room while I try to get that damn machine working." Ryan took out his notepad and pen and followed Pete into the back room. It was nothing that he thought it would be. The machinery was way out of date and no one else was working. In his job back in New York, the machinery was modern and there were several people working it. This was definitely a small town and a one-man operation. "Does this machine break down a lot? And why don't you get rid of it and buy some new equipment? It would save you a lot of time and would be more efficient." Pete let out a chuckle as he picked up some tools and started working away. "It breaks down at least once a month. No need to buy a new one when this does just as good a job. Besides, it's a small town and we don't need anything fancy. Don't you have any help working for you?" "Nope, it's just me. But I could use a helping hand right now. I'm not very mechanical." "That's okay. All you have to do is hold this pipe at the end here while I do the rest. But if I were you, I'd take off your coat and roll up your sleeves. It could get a little messy." Ryan took off his coat and rolled up his sleeves. "Go ahead and ask me whatever you want while I keep working on this. Hold that pipe steady, young man. I really need to use my pen and paper to write down some notes, but I guess the important questions I can ask you later when we're done here. I guess one of my questions would be why, since this is not the original Fairbanks but just another part of it, called Fairbanks Community, why have its own paper? I mean, why not just get the larger paper from the other place? The paper we make here is just about what goes on in our little community, like who's engaged to who made the best Christmas cookies, what colors Mr. Jerkins painting his living room was this year, things like that. Little things that keep the community up to speed on what everyone is doing. Why not write about more important things that are going on in the world? Does this town really need a newspaper after all? If you have to ask that, then you don't know how it is in our little town." He made a grunting noise and pushed a button, and all of a sudden the machine started up. "There, that ought to work for a couple more months." When they were done, they both washed their hands and went back into the front office and sat down. Pete had a pot of coffee on, so he poured them each one. For over 2.5 hours, Ryan asked him every question he could think of that would be of interest to his readers. "So how long have you been running this newspaper?" Pete sat back in his office chair with his coffee cup in his hand. "Over 40 years now." Ryan sat back and wrote down some notes while Pete did the talking. "I was around your age when I came up here to visit a friend. I had no intentions of settling down here or taking over this paper. I too was like you. I was young and ambitious and living in Chicago. I made good money there and had the opportunity of interviewing some important people. If I had stayed there, I might even have become a partner in the business, or maybe even owned it myself." Ryan's eyes looked up from his notepad. "Then why on earth would you give all that up to move here?" "Why would I give all that up? Well, let me tell you, it was for a woman. The moment I met my Cecilia, I fell in love at first sight. She was like an angel. I fell so hard for her. I never went back to Chicago. I moved here and bought this place and it's where I've been ever since. You must really love your wife to have done that. Yes, I did love her. He saw the look on Ryan's face. It was a look of confusion. I know that look. You think we broke up? We didn't. She passed away a few years ago. There's not a day that goes by that I don't miss her. I'm so sorry for your loss. But have you ever thought of going back to Chicago? No, because this is my home. It's where I belong and the people are all like family. Now, what other questions do you have for me? Another hour went by and he was finally done with his questioning. I guess I've taken up enough of your time. She's really pretty, isn't she? Ryan raised an eyebrow and looked at him, once again confused by what Pete was saying. Ew. Maddie, I hear you two have been spending a lot of time together since you've been here. Ryan wondered how he heard so quickly. Wow, this really is a small town. To answer your question, yes, I think she is very beautiful. I've never met anyone like her before. She is so sweet and kind-hearted. There's just something about her that makes me feel all warm inside when she's around. She has that effect on everybody. You know, I was just thinking, I'm planning on retiring soon, and was hoping to sell this place to someone who would like to keep it going. I'm sure you'll find someone, Ryan replied as he put his notepad inside his pocket. What about you? What about me? Why don't you buy it and run it? I have a feeling that you could make it better. With your talent and imagination, you'd be the perfect person. Ryan shook his head. No, I'm not moving here. I have a great job back home and there's talk that I could get a promotion, even if I considered it this place. And the equipment needs to be updated, and that would cost a lot of money. That's a shame. I know the people in this town will miss you after having gotten to know you. One person, in particular, will be. Ryan swallowed the lump in his throat. He was going to miss Maddie as well, but this wasn't his home, and he wasn't about to give up the job he already has. I'll miss everyone too, but I can always come back for a visit. Well, it's something to think about. Anyways, I guess you should be on your way, so that you can make it to the tree lighting tonight. I'll be seeing you there. Oh, and be careful going under the mistletoe. Why should I be careful? If you kiss the right person, you just might find yourself staying. Smiling and shaking his head, he said goodbye to Pete and left to go home. He didn't believe that mistletoes could make two people fall in love, and everyone he had talked to said it was just a coincidence that people did fall in love, and it was because they were already in love and that the mistletoe had nothing to do with it. He got back to his cabin, had a bite to eat and was going to change his clothes before going to the park to help out. So where's that handsome hunk you've been hanging out with? Izzy asked, laying out the plastic tablecloths. Maddie had known Lizzie all of her life. The two of them were getting the tables ready for hot chocolate, cider and all the baked goods. I'm sure he'll be here just as soon as he's done helping Nick fill the sleigh. Is he available or are you two an item? Izzy, Ryan is not going to be here much longer, so I very much doubt that he wants to become an item with me or anyone else. You like him, don't you? Yes, I do. I think he is the most amazing man I have ever met. He's smart, kind and very thoughtful. You're falling for him, aren't you? Don't be silly. I hardly know him. Don't you lie to me, girl. It's written all over your face. I've noticed how the two of you look at each other. Heck, everyone has noticed. You ought to tell him how you feel before it's too late and he's gone. She turned to look at Izzy. There wouldn't be any point in telling him. He has a whole different life back home. Well, just get him under the mistletoe, and I bet he'll change his mind about leaving. That is just a myth. Try it anyway, and if you can't get him under the mistletoe here in the park, then wait until the Christmas Eve party. He is coming, isn't he? Yes, he is. Now come on, we got to get this all set up before the other women bring everything. I don't think they'd be very happy with us if we didn't have the table set up. Josie and the other women showed up and got everything prepared. The men were busy cleaning an area to make a skating ring for the kids later on. In the meantime, Ryan was just finishing putting the children's Christmas gifts into the back of the sleigh. He looked at his watch and over at Nick. Well, if that's everything, I'd better head over to the park. I don't want to be late since they are all expecting me to be there. I think it's Maddie you're really looking forward to seeing again. I don't know exactly what's going on between the two of you, but I do hope that you don't break her heart. The last thing I want to do is hurt her. I do find myself caring a lot for her, maybe more than I should. I'd like to ask her to come back to New York with me, but I know how much she loves it here and that she would never leave. And I can't stay. She'll meet someone, get married and have children and live happily ever after. Saying goodbye, he headed towards the park. Why is it that everyone in this town knew what was going on between them? But then again, they were probably making it quite obvious. And surely someone would have seen him leaving her place early in the morning. He would have to have another talk with her and make sure she knew that they wouldn't have a future together. Chapter 10. When he arrived in town, he headed over to the park and looked around for Maddie. He finally found her behind one of the tables serving hot drinks. So he wandered over, and when she looked at him with that smile of hers, his heart melted. "You finally made it," she said, offering him a drink. "Yeah, helping Nick took longer than I thought. I'd better go help the guys." She nodded her head. "They do need the help, and when you're done, come back and I'll give you another hot cider." "I will." Derek and some of the other men were just getting started, and they all greeted him with a smile and a wave. It took some time to get the lights up. Ryan and another man checked that each bulb was securely screwed in. "So, how are you liking our little town?" Ryan couldn't stop the smile that appeared on his face. "I love it, and everyone is so friendly. I can see why you all love living here. We all can't wait to see your article when it comes out. I hope that you will send us some copies when you get back home. Maybe someday you'll come back and visit us. I'm sure Maddie would like to see you again." Ryan felt his throat go dry and sadness filled his heart. "I'd like to see her again. I'd like to see you all again." "There, looks like that's the last of the bulbs." Mike, who was helping him, nodded his head. "Let's just hope they are all working. I'll just go see what Maddie is doing. She promised me some hot cider when I was done. See you in a bit." He made his way back to the area where the women were busy handing out drinks and snacks to the children. He stood back and waited while she handed out the cookies to the little ones. The children seemed to adore her, and she was so good with them. He could picture her as a mother, so loving and nurturing. His thoughts were broken when he heard her say his name. "Ryan, so have you come back for that drink I promised you?" He moved over to her. "I haven't. I was hoping we could hang out during the tree lighting. Maybe later we could go back to my place for a while." "I thought you wanted to show me how good you could skate. Or were you just saying that to impress me?" "Okay, lady, we'll stay and I'll prove it to you. So how much longer do you have to stay here?" "I was hoping we could take a walk around the park before the lights get plugged in." He was dying to kiss her, but couldn't do it here in front of everyone. "I'm done now." "Good. Shall we go?" he asked, holding out his hand for her to take. When he had her hand in his, they started walking. "It's such a beautiful night," she said, looking up at the stars. "You would never know it's such a bad storm not too long ago." When they got deeper into the park, she gasped when he put her up against a tree and kissed her, hard and long. "Ryan, what are you doing?" she asked, putting her hand on his chest to stop him. Anyone could walk by at any moment. "I couldn't help myself. I just had to kiss you." He had intended on talking to her about not getting any deeper involved with each other, but seeing her, that flew out the window. Now all he wanted was to take her to bed and make love to her. She actually loved the forceful way he had pushed her up against the tree and kissed her. No one had kissed her like that before, and it excited her. If it weren't for the fact that someone could have come by, she wouldn't have stopped him. "We should get back now. They'll be turning the lights on soon." They held hands as they made their way back to the others. Everyone was already gathered around the tree, so Ryan stood behind her with his arms around her waist. The excitement built up as the countdown from 4 began, and when it got down to 1, nothing happened. There were sounds of disappointment throughout the crowd. Maddie looked up at Ryan. "What went wrong?" she asked sadly. "I don't know. Let me go check." He went over to the other guys and they looked around the tree, and he found that the plug had come out of the outlet. He called out to the others to let them know as he plugged it in properly and the lights came on. Everyone clapped. Seeing the look on Maddie's face, he went back over and put his arm around her waist. It was just a plug. She gave him the sweetest smile ever. "You're our hero. All in a day's work," he said with a chuckle. She looked up at the tree, her back leaning up against his chest. "I think this is the best tree we've ever had. Isn't it beautiful?" "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen," he replied, but it wasn't the tree he was talking about as he looked at her. "So are you ready to show me your skills at skating?" "I am, but we don't have any skates. I have mine at my parents' place, and I'm sure that Derek can lend you his. I think you are both the same size." The last thing he wanted to do was ask Derek for anything, especially since he knew that the guy had a crush on Maddie. "I don't want to bother him." "Don't be silly," she said, waving Derek over. Like a faithful little puppy, he ran over to her with a huge grin on his face. "Hey Maddie, the tree looks really good this year." "Oh, it sure does. Say, could Ryan use your skates for just a little while? Sure, no problem. I have them in my truck, so I'll just go run and get them. When he was gone, she turned to Ryan. I'll just run over to my parents' place and grab my skates, and I'll meet you back here. When she went to leave, he grabbed her hand and pulled her back towards him. I'll miss you, so don't be too long. It was only a few minutes later that Derek arrived with the skates and handed them to Ryan. You should feed you okay. We all heard that you saved Maddie during the storm, and we're very grateful to you. I only did what anyone else would have done. I'll get these back to you as soon as we're done skating. No hurry, just enjoy yourself. I just hope you can keep up with her. Maddie is an excellent skater. She could have been a professional. She even won a few contests and was spotted by a scout who offered to train her, but she turned it down. No, this was of interest to Ryan. She never told me that. Why in the world would she turn it down? It wasn't her passion, and she wasn't about to leave here. Her dream is to someday own and run her parents' business, which she will someday. She really does love this place, doesn't she? What's not to love? We're not just a community, we're a family here. Maddie wouldn't be happy anywhere else. She is one amazing woman. Ryan turned and glared at him. The twinge of jealousy ran through his veins. Sounds to me like you're in love with her. I guess you could say I am, but a lot of good that does me. Why do you say that? She's made it quite clear that we're just friends and that she has no romantic interest in me. I understand, and I'm happy just to be her friend. I got to get going. Have fun skating. Ryan walked over to a bench where the ice area was set up. Sitting down, he put on the skates and waited for her to return. Derek was a good guy, and a small part of him hoped that once he was gone, she would give the guy a chance. He knew that Derek would be good to her, and that maybe someday she would learn to love him. Even though the thought of her being with another man was tugging on his heartstrings, he wanted her to be happy once he was no longer around. Boy, are you ever deep in thought, she said when she flopped down on the bench beside him and started putting on her ice skates. He hadn't heard her approach until she spoke and sat her down next to him. Just thinking. What are you thinking about? Just stuff. Nothing important. Derek was telling me that you could have been a professional skater. Oh, that. I love skating, but not enough to do it as a professional skater. I love my life the way it is, and I have no intentions of changing it. Now, are you ready to show me what you got? He got up and held his hand out to her to take. I know now that I won't be able to outdo you, but I can still enjoy having your hand in mine as we skate around. He looked over at the other adults and children that were already skating. They all looked so happy, and the children, even they're fantastic skaters. They skated around for a while before she let go of his hand and started doing some of her fancy moves. He stood there watching her as she did them, and he had to admit that she was really good at it. She had talent and could have gone far, but if her heart wasn't in it, what would be the point? He had to admire her though for following her heart. When she was done, she skated over to him. Now it's your turn to show me what you can do. Forget it. I can tell you right now there's no way I can do any of that. It's getting a little chilly out here, so how about we go and get something hot to drink? We could go back to my place, and this time I'll make you some hot cocoa. I even have marshmallows. He looked into her eyes, and his heart did a flip and his stomach felt like there were butterflies in it. This woman had such an effect on him, and whenever she smiled at him he felt all warm inside. That sounds good to me. They removed their skates and carried them back to her apartment. Shedding their coats and boots, she told him to make himself comfortable on the couch, while she went and made the hot cocoa. He watched her make it, which wasn't hard since the kitchen and living room were connected. He had to smile when he saw how she loaded the mugs with the tiny marshmallows and wondered if there was even enough room for the hot cocoa. Here you go, she said, placing the mug in front of him on the coffee table. I hope you don't mind that I put in so many marshmallows. It's the way I like it. He looked at her and raised his hand to move a strand of hair that had fallen over her face and placed it behind her ear. I had a lot of fun tonight, and all the other times we've been together. This town has given me so much for my article, and my boss really liked the draft that I sent her. So are you all done writing it now? Not quite. There are still a few little things I have to put in. The only thing is I haven't got anything on this so-called real life Santa Claus or the magical mistletoe. But what I got so far is a winner, and my boss agrees. I have you to thank. Me, I didn't do anything. All I did was show you around town and introduce you to people. You did so much more than that. I really enjoyed everywhere you took me, the Christmas wrapping and helping you and your parents in the shop. Among other things, I especially enjoyed the nights we spent together. A look of horror appeared on her face. Oh my God, did you put any of what we did physically in your article? He placed his cup down on the table and placed the palms of his hands on the side of her face. No, I would never do that. I'm just saying that this is my favorite part of being here. Being with you. Getting to know you. Feeling relief, she placed her hands over his. Can you stay the night? Without answering, he stood up, pulling her with him. He put his arms around her waist and lowered his lips onto hers. Without replying to her question about staying, he lifted her up and carried her to the bedroom, where they spent a night of passionate lovemaking. Chapter 11. Waking up with her in his arms felt so right. He was never one for cuddling, always had to have his space. But it was different with Maddie. He was the one who pulled her into his arms and held her as they slept. She opened her eyes and stared into the most beautiful brown eyes she had ever seen on a man. Good morning. He smiled sweetly at her. Good morning, beautiful. I was thinking I'd get up and make us some breakfast. I'm sorry, I don't have time. You're not planning on leaving already, are you? Oh Lord. Now he was starting to sound like all those clingy women who didn't want the man to leave first thing in the morning. She sat her day up, covering herself with the sheet. I have to. There's so much to do before the party tonight, and I promise to help. I'll come and help you with whatever it is. Didn't you tell me you had to finish your one article and send it in today? Yeah, I guess I'd better. Getting out of bed, she reached for her clothes and started putting them on. Come to my place around 6 and I'll make you some dinner before we get ready for the party tonight. I have our costumes and we can change after we eat. Wait a minute, what costume? I told you that we all dress in naughty Santa suits. You're not really going to make me wear one, are you? I'm not really one to dress up in costumes for any occasion. Even as a kid, I never went trick-or-treating. Buttoning up her shirt and tucking it inside her pants, she walked over to the bed and sat her down on the edge. Her eyes briefly scanned his naked chest and her stomach, did a flip-flop, and some butterflies did their little dance. Don't be a party pooper. You don't want to be the only one there without a costume, do you? Looking at her beautiful face, he couldn't refuse her. I know I'm going to regret it, but okay, I'll wear some silly costume. She leaned over to kiss him. It will be a lot of fun. I'll see you later, she said as she left the bedroom. Getting out of bed, he took a quick shower and threw on his sweatpants and sweatshirt. Taking out his laptop, he opened it up and started typing away. He sent it off to Karen, who replied within minutes. She told him she was very impressed with what he had sent her so far. She really liked the article on Maddie, and how she saved a child that had fallen through the ice. Before ending the conversation, he said he would send another article within a day or two, and would be back in time for the New Year's Eve party. A few minutes before 6, he stood outside her door and knocked. The aroma of chicken and potato cooking filled the hallway. It was so rare these days to find a woman like her that could cook and do all the things that she could. He could never find a woman like that in New York. You're right on time, she said, stepping aside to let him in. I don't like to keep a lady waiting. He took off his boots and hung his coat up on the rack. It smells great in here. It's nothing much. Chicken and potatoes. It'll be ready in a few minutes, so if you just want to go ahead and sit down, I'll dish it out for us. He sat her down and watched her. You're not really going to make me wear a costume, are you? You would look out of place if you weren't wearing one. Besides, it's going to be a lot of fun. We do it every year. Even Mom and Dad will be dressed up. Why is it called Christmas Eve party when this is the night before Christmas Eve? We always used to have it on Christmas Eve, but in the last few years, we changed it to the night before. It was just too much for parents to go out on Christmas Eve and have everything set up for Christmas morning, so it was easier to do it the night before. She let out a soft giggle, and also gave everyone a day to get over their hangover before Christmas morning. During their meal, he told her more about his life in New York, his friends, his apartment, and about his job and co-workers. So does your work puts on a New Year's Eve party? Oh yes, they do. They go all out and rent one of the large rooms at the hotel, and they hire a band. My company goes all out. Lots of food and lots of bouncy. Of course, we all overdrink and have one hell of a hangover the next day. He looked over at her between bites. So does the town do anything special here for New Year's Eve? Just a party at the hall. Nothing fancy like you do in New York. We have a few drinks and food. The best part is bringing in the new year with family and friends. After they ate and cleaned up, she handed him the bag that contained his costume and told him he could change in the bathroom, while she went into the bedroom to put on her own costume. He took his costume out of the bag and shook his head. He couldn't believe he was going along with this. Putting it on, he went into the living room and called out to her. "There's no way I can wear this out in public. It's freezing outside, and you want me to go out there wearing shorts and no shirt? You'll be warm with the Santa jacket on, and it's just around the corner." He was about to tell her that there was no way he was going to wear it when she stepped out of the bedroom. One look at her in the size Santa dress and the hat, he was speechless. "Damn," he muttered under his breath. "So, what do you think?" she asked, turning around so that he could see it from every angle. Wow, I don't think you have any idea how you look in that. Every man at the party will be staring at you and drooling." He would have preferred staying in and peeling off her outfit, one piece at a time. "I guess we should go over there now." "You can't go out like that," he said, staring at her. "Why not? What's wrong with it?" "Nothing, but you'll freeze to death." "I'll be wearing a coat over it until we get there. We are going to have so much fun, and I'm really glad you're here to share it with us." Even though he still felt a little awkward going out in shorts, he went along with it for her sake. He was so grateful that she only lived right around the corner from where they were going. When they got to the hall and inside, he did feel a little better when he saw a couple of the other guys wearing shorts too. They even had the same outfit he had and weren't wearing a shirt under their Santa jacket. He was going to keep on the jacket no matter what. That was until he saw Derek. The guy had on an identical suit, and he had removed the jacket, showing off his very muscular upper body. He was not about to be showed up, so he also removed the Santa jacket. Derek came over and gave her a hug. "Wow, girl, you look smoking hot. It's even ashier than the one you wore last year." He welcomed Ryan and offered to go get them all a drink. Ryan glanced over to where an older couple was sitting. They too were wearing a Santa outfit, but it was more of the old-fashioned one that you would see in those old movies or storybooks. "Who are they? I don't believe I've met them." She looked over to where he was pointing. "Oh, that is Chris and Mary Walker. They are our oldest residents. They just had their 100th birthday a couple of months ago, and had been married for over 70 years. He couldn't stop staring at them. They didn't look to be that old, and he would have guessed them to be in their 80s. "You should have told me about them. I would love to have interviewed them." "It's not too late, and I'm sure they won't mind talking to you now." She took a hold of his hand and walked with him over to the couple. It didn't feel right going over to talk to an older couple shirtless, so he grabbed his Santa jacket and put it on. The couple were watching Ryan and Maddie walking towards them. "Maddie, it's so nice to see you again, sweetheart. It's always a pleasure to see the two of you. I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Ryan Webster." Chris held out his hand to shake Ryan's. "We know who you are." Ryan raised an eyebrow as he shook the man's hand. "You do?" "Why, yes, we do. You have been the talk of the town for the last 3 weeks," Mary said as she shook his hand. Chris ran his hand over his white beard. "And I bet you would like to interview us. Well, sit down, young man, and we'll talk for a few minutes before the party gets going. Maddie, why don't you go mingle with your friends and leave us to your young man here? We promise we won't keep him long." Ryan sat down when Chris pointed to the chair. "I wish I had brought a pen and a notepad with me." "You can use that one that's next to you," Mary said with a smile on her face. He shifted his body and saw a brand new notepad and pen sitting on the table. He reached for it and wondered how it was that he hadn't noticed it sitting there before. "So do you mind if I ask you a few questions for my article?" "Not at all. Go right ahead." He asked him a few questions about how long they lived in this town, about their lives here, and if they knew anything about a magical mistletoe, or if they believed in Santa Claus. Chris leaned forward a little. "You don't believe in Santa, do you?" "Not since I was a kid. But come on, we all know he really doesn't exist. There's no way on earth that one man can fly in a sleigh and deliver presents to kids all over the world. And how is it that there are so many children in the world that don't get a gift? If there truly was a Santa Claus, would they not get something? You're angry because when you were a small child, I bet you wished with all of your heart for something and you didn't get it," Chris said, looking into Ryan's eyes. "I would say that it was weird that you would know that. But then again, every child has wished for something that they didn't get." He was about to ask a few more questions when Mary stood up straight and he turned his head to see what she was looking at. "Oh, look, Maddie is standing under the mistletoe, and it looks like young Derek is headed towards her." A weird feeling coursed through his body when he realized that she was about to get kissed by another man. Tucking his notepad and pen into his pocket, he stood up. "Excuse me," he said, and headed towards her. He had to get to her before Derek did. Stepping up the speed, he reached her just seconds before Derek did and pulled her into his arms and kissed her, taking her by surprise. He didn't care that everybody was watching. He only meant to give her a quick kiss to stop the other guy from kissing her. But once his lips met hers, that changed. It went from a sweet and innocent kiss to a romantic and passionate one. Chapter 12. When Ryan ended the kiss, she gave him a look of total shock. "Why would you do that in front of everybody?" "Mistletoe," he said, pointing upwards towards the ceiling. Derek was still standing there. "I guess I missed my chance." "Well, there's always next year." He walked away feeling a little disappointed. "Is that why you rushed over here? To beat Derek before he got to me?" He could tell she was a little mad. "I saw him coming towards you and I just couldn't let him kiss you. You had no right or reason to be jealous, and you certainly had no right to do what you did in front of everybody. You embarrassed me." She walked away from him. He caught up to her just as she left the room and grabbed her arm to stop her from going any further. "Look, I'm sorry, okay? I don't know what came over me, and maybe I was a little jealous. I hope you will forgive me so that we can enjoy the party. You can't keep pulling this in front of people, especially my parents. It won't happen again, I promise." He was relieved when she gave him a smile and took his hand and led him back into the hall. Something told him that the Walkers knew that he would stop Derek from kissing her. Then when he looked around to where they were sitting, they were no longer there. "That's weird." "What's weird?" "I can't see Chris and Mary anywhere. They would have had to walk past us to leave, and there's no way people that age could move that quickly. I'm sure they slipped out when you weren't looking. Now we can either get another drink or you can take me on the dance floor." "Let's dance," he replied, taking her hand in his. He rested his cheek on the side of her head as they swayed to the beat of the music. After a few dances they went and got a couple of drinks from the bar and went and Saturday down at one of the tables. Her parents came over and Saturday with them. "I think this is the best Christmas party we've had yet, and the decorations are just beautiful," Josie said as she took a sip of her drink. "Ryan, we would like to invite you over for Christmas dinner." "Thank you so much for the invitation, but I don't want to impose on a family dinner." "Don't be silly. You're not imposing and we want you there, don't we?" she asked, turning to look at her husband. "Yes, we do. You must come. My wife makes the best turkey and stuffing that you will ever have in your entire life." "Then it will be my pleasure to join you." The night went very well and he wasn't even upset when Derek got Maddie up for a couple of dances. In fact, this was the best party he had ever been to, and everyone made him feel like he was part of the community. As the party came to an end, they said their goodbyes to the remaining people and headed back to her apartment. Once inside the door, he took the opportunity to kiss her and touch her the way he had been thinking about doing all night. He carried her to the bedroom and slowly removed her clothing as well as his own. He woke up alone in bed and could smell the aroma of coffee and bacon coming from the tiny kitchen. Getting up, he pulled on a pair of pants and went into the kitchen, where he walked up behind her and put his arms around her waist. "You didn't have to make me breakfast. I would have done it." "I don't mind," she replied, giggling when he kissed the side of her neck. "So what would you like to do today?" She turned her head to look at him and smiled. "I was going to ask you if you would like to go bowling this afternoon. Some of my friends will be there." "Oh wait, have you ever bowled before?" "A few times, but I'm not very good at it. If you'd rather not, we could find something else to do." "It's okay. I'd like to go." "Don't tell me that you're an excellent bowler as well as everything else." "I'm just average." He turned her around to face him, his hands resting on her waist. "I was wondering if you would consider staying here with me until I go back to New York. I know it's a lot to ask, but I'm hoping you will agree to stay at the cabin or my apartment." "I'm hoping the cabin. It's more private and that way I can have you all to myself." She could have said no, but knowing their time together was limited, she wanted to spend as much time with him as she possibly could. "Yes, I would like that." Later that afternoon they headed over to the bowling alley. It was just a small one with a few lanes and a concession stand where you could buy drinks and snacks. Some of the people he met at the Christmas party were there, and yes, even Derek. They got their shoes and started playing, and it turned out that Ryan wasn't that bad after all, but the others were much better. But again, that was because they play all the time. At one point Ryan had to use the men's room. He left his phone on the table and told Maddie that his boss was going to be calling him, and if his phone rang for her to answer it. He no sooner left when his phone rang and she answered it. "Hello, this is Ryan's phone. He's not available at the moment. Can I take a message?" "Who is this?" Maddie, I'm a friend of Ryan's. Tell him that I have been waiting for his call, and I'm excited about going to the New Year's Eve party with him. Tell him I still think about the night we spent together before he left to go to Alaska. It was the best night of my life, and I can't wait for us to repeat what we did. He can call me back when he gets a chance. She felt the color drain from her face and her stomach turning into knots. Without saying anything to the others, she took off her bowling shoes and put on her boots and got up to leave. But before she could walk out, Ryan appeared. Hey, where are you going? I'm going home, alone, she said, pushing the phone up against his chest. You got a call from someone called Sandy and you're to call her right away. Before he could answer, she stormed out, and he had to go change out of his bowling shoes. After he did that and grabbed his coat, he chased after her and caught up before she entered her apartment building. He grabbed her arm to stop her. I don't know anyone called Sandy. Oh please, she said you'd spent the night together, and are supposed to go to your New Year's Eve party. She also told me to tell you that the night you spent together was one of the best nights she's ever had, and she can't wait to repeat it. He slapped his forehead with the palm of his hand. Oh, her. I completely forgot about her. So you're one of those. What does that mean? That you're one of those men who sleep with a woman and then forget all about her. You're not the man I thought you were, but it's really none of my business anyways. Just go home and leave me alone. I'm not like that, okay? I met her in a bar and spent the night with her. I only asked her to the New Year's Eve party because there was no one else to ask and I didn't want to go alone. She means nothing to me. I hadn't met you then, but now that I have, I don't want to be with anyone else. She lowered her head as a tear trickled down her face. What must you think of me, sleeping with you when I barely know you? He lifted her chin up with his finger so that she would have to look at him. I think you are the most amazing woman I have ever met, and I cherish every moment we've been together. I don't want it to end like this between us. I want to be with you until I leave. So she isn't your girlfriend? God, no. But it's not nice of you to invite her to a party and then just ignore her like that. I don't know who she is or what kind of person, but I do know that nobody deserves to be treated like that. You could at least have called her. I will, and I'll tell her that I won't be taking her to the party. If you're going to that party, you might as well have someone go with you. Don't just say that because of me. I know once you leave here, you will be a free agent and can do what you want. Maddie, will you come back with me to the cabin? I must be crazy, but yes, I'll stay with you until you leave. They went inside her apartment and she packed a few things. Deep down she knew it was a big mistake going back with him, knowing her heart would be broken when he left, but she still felt that spending some time with him was better than not spending any time together before he left for good. So she got settled into his cabin. The next morning, they got up and made breakfast together, and afterwards, they went for a walk down the trail. You know, I was thinking about Christmas morning, that maybe I shouldn't go first thing. You should go and I will come later on. She stopped in front of him, placing her hands on his chest. But my mother and father are expecting you. I know, and I will be there, but I don't want to impose on a family Christmas morning while you open gifts. Ryan, we don't go all out on buying gifts for each other. We usually just get one or two things, but if you feel uncomfortable, I'll understand. If you don't want to be there, but I also want you to know that we do not expect you to bring any gifts. We just want you there to enjoy the day and have a fantastic dinner, which by the way will be around 3 o'clock. Please won't you come with me in the morning? He touched her cheek with his fingertips. How can I refuse you when you look at me with those beautiful eyes of yours? I'll go with you in the morning. With a big smile on her face, she backed away from him and picked up a handful of snow and made a snowball. He ducked just as she threw it, and missed him by only a fraction of an inch. Oh, so you want to play, do you? He reached down and grabbed a handful of snow, and making a snowball threw it at her. For over an hour they threw snowballs at each other. She got him several times, but he missed her each time, and somehow she knew that he was missing her on purpose. I guess you've never played baseball because you sure are a lousy shot. But being a city boy I can understand, she said, taunting him. He reached down and scooped up some more snow. I was being a gentleman, but if this is how you want to play, wait for it. He threw the snowball, which hit her right in the face. As soon as it did, he ran over to her and wiped the snow off of her face. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to throw it so hard. Oh God, did I hurt you? He thought she was going to be angry, but instead, she burst out laughing. Oh, you city boys are such wussies. And no, you didn't hurt me. I'm getting cold, so I'll race you back to the cabin. He had to laugh at her. There's no way in hell you are going to beat me. If I do win, then you have to make dinner tonight and all the washing up while I sit down and watch TV. You're on, and if I win, then you have to make the dinner and the cleaning up while I sit back and relax." As soon as he said that, she shoved him, and he landed on his bum, and by the time he got up she had gotten a good head start on him. "Cheater!" he shouted out as he got up and started running after her. Chapter 13. When they woke up and after having breakfast they snuggled on the sofa before heading out to her parents' place. With his arm around her, he gave her a kiss on the lips. "Merry Christmas." She kissed him back. "Merry Christmas, and I'm so glad you're here to enjoy it with me. I think this has got to be the best Christmas ever. Getting to know you has been a pleasure." "The pleasure has been all mine. Living in the city, you don't get to meet as many nice people as I've met here. Everyone is always in a rush to get somewhere, and never really bothers to stop and talk and get to know each other. I'm really going to miss this place. This is a wonderful place to live. Yes, we do have a couple of bad apples, but not like in some places. I know everyone here will miss you when you leave. Before we leave to go to your parents, I had a little something for you." He got up and went over to the tree. Squatting down, he reached for a small wrapped package. She stood up when he walked towards her. "Ryan, you shouldn't have bought me anything. Now I feel bad that I didn't get you something. I don't expect anything. Don't think of this as a Christmas present. Think of it as a thank you gift for showing me around." When he handed her the package, she took it and slowly unwrapped it. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes looked at the small gold locket. "Oh, Ryan, it's beautiful, but you really shouldn't have." "I wanted to. Now let me put it on you." She turned around and lifted her hair up, so that he could place it around her neck and do it up. A tear appeared in her eye and she choked back a sob. It was the most beautiful gift she had ever gotten. "Thank you. Now whenever you wear it you think of me. I would have thought about you anyways. I think we should get ready and go over to my parents, before they start calling and wondering where we are." On their way out the door, he stopped and went to the kitchen and grabbed 2 bottles. One was wine and the other was whiskey. It was a beautiful night for a walk. Light snowflakes were falling as they made their way into town. Josie and Ted were there to greet them with open arms, giving them both a hug and wishing them a Merry Christmas. "I brought a bottle of wine for our dinner," he said, handing it to Josie and handing Ted the whiskey. "I hear Crown Royal is your favorite." He took it with a smile on his face. "It is my absolute favorite. Thank you so much. Oh, come on into the living room and I'll pour us each a drink." While Maddie and her mother went into the kitchen, Ryan and Ted went and Saturday in the living room and had a drink of the Crown Royal. "I want to thank you so much for inviting me over. You're a good man, Ryan, and no one should be alone on Christmas. You're also a friend of Maddie's, so you are welcome here anytime." The women came out from the kitchen and Saturday down, announcing that dinner would be ready in a couple of hours. Ryan felt a little out of place when they started handing out the Christmas gifts. Maddie had given her mother some perfume and a scarf. Her father was given a brand new pipe and some slippers. She got a new clock radio, a sweater, and a pair of gold earrings. Josie walked over with a small gift for Ryan. "No, you shouldn't have gotten me a gift. It's not really a gift, dear. It's some of my homemade cookies. They are some that you haven't tried yet. I hope you enjoy them." He felt so relieved and thanked her. Getting up, he gave her a hug. They all Saturday around and talked, and he told her parents about his life in New York and his job. They kept asking him questions, so of course he was polite and answered every one of them with a smile on his face. Josie got up and said that she was going to go check on the dinner, and Maddie went with her to help out. Maddie was smashing the potatoes, while her mother took out the turkey and started preparing the other things to put into dishes. She looked over at her daughter. "That necklace is new. Ryan gave it to me. He said it wasn't really a Christmas gift, that it was more of a thank you gift for helping him out." Her fingers reached up and wrapped around the locket, but I'm pretty sure it was actually a Christmas gift. Josie placed her hand on Maddie's shoulder. "You really like him, don't you? I mean really like him." She turned her head to look at her mother and she had tears in her eyes. "I like him a lot, more than I should, but he's leaving in a couple of days and I'm going to miss him so much." "Have you told him how you feel, that you're in love with him?" "I never said I was in love with him." "You didn't have to say it. I can see it in your eyes and the way you look at him. This is all my fault that you're hurting." "Mom, it's not your fault, and why would you say that?" "Because I was the one that pushed you together. I was the one that suggested you show him around. I just wanted you to have some fun. I didn't think you would fall in love with him." "Please don't blame yourself. I could have stopped it from happening, but I didn't. Tell him how you feel, and maybe he feels the same way about you and will stay. I can tell that he cares about you so much. It might even be love." "Mom, I can't." "Why not?" "Because if I tell him, and even if he does feel the same way, he wants to go back to New York. He loves his job and he won't leave it, and for me to ask him to stay, he would only resent me later on. I can't stand in his way. Please, let's not talk about it anymore." After they had all the food dished out, they called the men in for dinner. When the meal was over, Ryan leaned back in his chair and patted his belly. "I have never eaten this much in my life, and it was the best meal ever. Mrs. Davison, if you weren't already married, I would marry you myself. Boy, if you were to have married my wife, you would have a belly this size," Ted said as he rubbed his big belly. When the meal was finished and the dishes cleaned up, they all left to go to the church for the Christmas Day sermon. Now Ryan wasn't much of a churchgoer, but he enjoyed it nonetheless. After it was over, they went back to Ted and Josie's, and the two guys poured another drink of the Crown Royal, and they all Saturday down and played some board games. It was almost midnight when Ryan said it was getting late and that it was time for him to leave. "Yeah, I think I'll go to Mom." But of course, she didn't go home to her apartment. She went back to the cabin with Ryan. They only had 3 days left to be together, and she wanted to spend every minute of it with him. The shop was closed for the holidays, so she didn't have to worry about going to work. Back at the cabin, he started a fire in the fireplace, while she went to slip into something more comfortable. He was in the living room sitting on the sofa when she walked in, wearing one of his shirts and carrying 2 mugs of hot cocoa with marshmallows in it. He took one look at her and felt the stirring of desire. He liked that she had deliberately left a few buttons undone, showing off parts of her breasts. "Now this is what I call a perfect ending to a great Christmas night." "Are you talking about the hot cocoa?" His eyes moved to her chest and then back up to her eyes. "I was actually talking about you and what you're wearing, or should I say what you're not wearing." She went and sat beside him, handing him his beverage. "I love sitting in front of a fireplace. It's so warm and cozy." He placed his mug of cocoa on the coffee table, took hers and also placed it next to his. "Don't you want it?" "Oh, I want it, but not the hot cocoa," he said as he lowered her down onto the sofa. "Did you really think that you could come in here dressed like this with half the buttons undone, and I wouldn't get aroused?" She ran her fingertips of her right hand over his bottom lip. "I don't know what you're talking about. I was just trying to get comfortable." "Oh baby, you knew exactly what you were doing," he said as he lowered his lips onto hers. The next day they woke up late, and after having a leisurely breakfast they went for a walk. He was like a little kid in a candy store when he saw all the different wildlife running around. Living in the big city, he never saw any wildlife. He had his phone with him and snapped a few pictures. They walked into town and went to the park and Saturday on the bench watching the children ice skating. She turned her head to look at him and placed her hand in his. "I suppose you're anxious to get back to New York and to your job." "I have to be honest and tell you I have mixed feelings. Part of me does miss the city life and my job, but I also love it here. It's so peaceful and relaxing, and I have never met so many nice people in my life. You are so lucky to have such loving and amazing parents. I never had that with my own parents. They were never around and didn't seem to care. Seeing it's Christmas time, maybe you ought to give them a call and see if things can be better. I tried a couple of times, but now I give up. The only good thing they gave me was a good education and a roof over my head. I even have a trust fund that they set up for me, which I've never touched. All I ever wanted was love from them, but they didn't have those feelings that a parent should have for their child. Hell, I'm not even sure if they love each other or are capable of love. That is so sad. Without love, everything else seems pointless. We should go back to the cabin. I still have some work to do on part of my article. I want to have it completed before I go back to New York." She got to her feet and held out her hand. "While you're doing that, I'll make us an early dinner. Is there any chance that I might get a peek at some of your work? I mean, I can wait until it's completed. And you send us some of the papers that you promised to send. I will send enough copies for everyone that I've met here and a few extra. As for getting a sneak peek, I think that can be arranged for a small price," he said, winking at her. "Oh really? Well, we'll just see about that." When they got back to the cabin, he lit a fire in the fireplace and sat her down with his laptop and started typing away while she went into the kitchen and started dinner. With everyone he had interviewed and talked to, he took pictures to send along with his article. He had some really great shots and just knew that his boss would be thrilled with them. But of course, his boss was not pleased that he couldn't find anything out about some magical mistletoe or a real Santa Claus. It was all speculation and no proof behind any of it, but she did enjoy hearing about the story of the town and the people, and especially about Maddie and what a hero she was by saving that little girl. Not to mention how every year she took Christmas presents to the children at the hospital who could not go home for Christmas. You could say that she was the star of his article. Chapter 14. As she started making dinner, she could hear the sound of Ryan typing away on his laptop. She felt the locket that hung around her neck. It was so beautiful and she loved it and would always wear it from now on. It would be something she would cherish and remember him by. While the meat was cooking, she went into the other room. "How's it going?" she asked, sitting down next to him. "Much better than I expected." He placed the laptop on her knee. "You wanted to read some of what I've done, so here you go." He sat her there and watched while she read it, trying to get a glimpse of what she was thinking by watching her face. When she was done reading part of the article, she looked over at him with tears in her eyes. "What you wrote about Timmy is so beautiful. You really captured him. And it was so sweet of you to write his story. I'm sure that his parents are going to be so pleased with this. I'm glad you like it. Now read the next part, and I hope you like it." She started reading it, stopping a couple of times to look at him and going back to reading it. When she was done, she closed the laptop. "Why would you write this?" He was a little shocked by her tone. "You don't like it. It's all about me and you made me sound like some kind of hero. I'm not a hero." "Are you kidding me?" "Of course you are. You saved that little girl from drowning. You risked your own life to do it, and what you do every Christmas for those children who have to be in the hospital is one of the most amazing things anyone could do. It's a heartwarming story that people are going to enjoy reading, especially at this time of year. If you want me to scrap it, I will." She took a couple of deep breaths. "It's just that I don't like having a lot of attention drawn towards me. Saving that girl is something anybody would have done. But you were the one who did it and you should be very proud of yourself. So is this article on me that important to you and your job?" "Honestly, yes it is. But I would never do anything to upset you, and I will tell my boss to drop this part if you want me to." "It's okay. If it will be good for your career, then go ahead and publish it." "Thank you, and you won't be sorry. I still have to clean it up a bit before it gets to the printer. You can read the rest if you want. It has a lot to do with the shop owners and the community in general." "I would love to, but dinner is ready, so I'll read it later tonight." After dinner, he offered to do the dishes while she read the rest of his articles. He kept peeking out the door to try to catch a glimpse of her reaction as she read. At one point he called out, "So what do you think so far?" "Ryan, just let me finish it and then I'll tell you." He was like a little boy with no patience. Rolling her eyes at him, she continued reading. She felt so honored that he was allowing her to read it before anyone else did. He knew he was bugging her, so he tried to concentrate on cleaning up, but he was anxious to know what she thought of it. Her opinion meant everything to him, so he took his time, and when he was done, he made them each a cup of hot cocoa and put extra marshmallows in hers because he knew how much she liked it that way. She looked up at him when he came in and set the drinks on the coffee table. "Ryan, you are so talented. The words you used to describe everything are so amazing, and you captured the community and the people so well. I think you're so good that you could probably write a book. Have you ever thought of doing something like that?" "Funny you should say that. I had been thinking about doing it in my spare time, just not sure yet what I would write about." "Well, whatever you do, I know you will be a success at it. I'm so glad you enjoyed what I've written, and I think we should go out and celebrate. Is the bar in town open tonight, or do they close all through the holidays?" "They're open. So would you like to go out with me tonight? Have a couple of drinks and maybe a dance or two?" "Yeah, that sounds like fun, but let's finish our drinks first and then I'll get ready." The bar was busy with people drinking and dancing and having fun. They all greeted Ryan and Maddie when they walked in. A group sitting at one of the booths waved them over. "I'll grab us a couple of drinks and meet you over there," he said as he headed to the bar. There were some of the men that he met standing around drinking beer. "Hey Ryan, nice to see you again," the one called Bruce said, raising his drink to him. "Good to see you guys too. So how much longer are you in town for?" "I'll be leaving in a couple of days," he replied, looking over at the table where Maddie was sitting. "Well, maybe once you're gone, one of us will have a chance with her," one of the other guys said, who was standing there with Bruce. Ryan turned his head and glared at him. "Excuse me. I'm just saying that since you got into town, no one has had a chance to get close to her. But once you're gone, Maybe she will give one of us the chance of taking her out. If she didn't give you a chance before I got here, what makes you think she'll give you a chance when I leave?" The man, whose name was Gordon, held up his hands. "Wow, where is that coming from? It's not like you and she has a relationship. Since you're leaving to go back to New York, you don't really expect her to be single for the rest of her life, do you?" Ryan picked up the 2 bottles of beer that the bartender Saturday down. "Of course not. She's a free agent. I just want to make sure that she meets a nice guy that will treat her right, one that will love her the way she deserves to be loved." When he walked away from the bar, the 2 guys looked at each other, and Bruce gave Gordon a light shove. "What the hell did you have to go and say that for?" "I didn't say anything wrong. It's not like he has any claim on her." "Couldn't you tell that he's in love with her?" "Well, if he's in love with her, then why the hell is he leaving or not taking her back with him?" "I'm sorry, man, but once Ryan is gone, I'm going to ask her out, and I'm not the only one." Bruce laughed. "But you and some of the others have tried already, and she shot you all down right away. Not even Derek, who we all know has had a crush on her since they were kids, stood a chance with her. The only one she ever got close to was her ex." Back at the table, Ryan sat her down next to Maddie and handed her one of the bottles of beer. They all chatted for a while, until he got up and asked her if she would like to dance, which she gladly accepted. It was a fast song that was playing, and he showed her some moves that were a bit on the naughty side. It was almost like some of the moves they did in the movie Dirty Dancing. He was behind her with his hands on her hips, their bodies swaying from side to side, as his one hand slowly moved up and down the side of her curves. He then turned her around, his one hand around her waist and his other hand on her back as he dipped her. His lips were dangerously close to hers, and just as he was about to kiss her, the song ended. Then a slow and romantic song came on, and he pulled her into his arms and rested his cheek on the side of her head. She could feel the pounding of his heart against hers as he held her close. His arms felt so strong, his body rock hard as he held her. His manly scent sent a tingling through her body. She could feel the wetness between her legs and the throbbing of her core. No other man had ever made her feel this way, not even her ex, and she had a feeling no man ever would. After the dance was over, they went back to the table, and no sooner got there when someone came over and asked her to dance. He didn't mind, and why would he? There was nothing wrong with her dancing with other men, but he did keep looking over at her, thinking how beautiful she was and how happy she looked. "It will be sad to see you leave," Derek said when he noticed how Ryan kept looking over at Maddie. "I know she's really going to miss you." "I'll miss her too, and everyone else that I've met. You have all been so kind to me and made me feel welcome." Maddie was on her way back to the table after the dance, when a man stopped her and grabbed her arm. "Hey gorgeous, I've been watching you and I think it's my turn for a dance." "No thank you, I've had enough dancing for one night." She tried to break away from his grip, but he wouldn't let go. Ryan saw what was going on and asked Derek who the man was. "That's Jacob. He's a real bum, and only comes here to visit his parents at Christmas time. He's nothing but a drunk and a pain in the bum." Ryan could tell that Jacob was bothering her, and she was trying to get away from him, so he got up and went over. "Maddie, is this man bothering you?" "I'm just asking the lady for a dance, so mind your own business." Ryan looked at her. "Is this man bothering you, and do you want to dance with him?" He could feel the fire in his veins exploding seeing how Jacob had his hand on her. "I told him I don't want to dance, but he won't take no for an answer." He looked at the man and placed his hand on his chest. "You heard the lady. Now take your hand off her or I'll break it." "She's dancing with me," he said as he jerked her towards him. Ryan placed his hand on the man's hand that was holding onto her and squeezed until he released her. When he did, he raised his fist and punched the guy, causing him to fall backwards. When a lady says no, it's no, and you have no right to ever put your hand on a woman without her consent. Some of the other men in the bar came over and grabbing Jacob escorted him out of the bar. Ryan turned to her and placed his hands on her shoulders. "Are you okay? Did he hurt you?" "No, he didn't hurt me and I'm okay. He's nothing but a real jerk and I'm glad. He only comes here once a year, but this is the first time he's ever approached me like this. I think it's just because he had too much to drink this time. I don't give a damn if he had too much to drink or not. He had no right to do what he did." She smiled at him. There was something SI about a man who came to a woman's rescue. "Thank goodness you were here to save me. I'm sure if I wasn't here, one of the other guys would have stepped in. Would you like another drink or would you rather just go back to the cabin?" "It's getting late, so let's go back." They walked back hand in hand, neither one speaking. Once they were back at the cabin, he turned on the radio, and when one of those SI songs came on, he started dancing seductively. He took a hold of her hand and swung her around, bringing her back into his arms, where she placed her arms around his neck and pressed her body against his while they danced. He lifted her up and carried her to the bedroom. Chapter 15. When he woke up the next morning, he looked over to her side of the bed and saw that she was still fast asleep. He knew it was going to be hard leaving her, and would have liked to ask her to go back with him, but then he knew that she would never leave this place, and he really couldn't blame her. This was her home. Her family and friends live here, and someday she would be taking over the bakery. She was happy here, and he knew without a doubt she would not be happy living in a big city. She opened her eyes and smiled at him. "You look like you're so deep in thought. Are you worried about something?" He pulled her closer, wrapping his arms around her. "Everything is fine. I'm just trying to think of what we can do today." Knowing that they only had today and tomorrow, all she wanted to do was be alone with him. "We don't have to do anything. Maybe go for a walk, have a nice dinner, and afterwards watch a movie on TV in front of the fireplace." "That sounds good to me," he said, pulling her on top of him. "I know one thing we could do right now." "I bet you do," she said, lowering her lips onto his. They spent a lovely day together, and later that night, they sat by the fireplace watching a movie on TV. He had to tease her by sitting there with no shirt on, and she kept checking him out. She always got so hot and bothered when she saw his bare chest. Chewing on her bottom lip, she looked at him. "Must you always be shirtless when I'm around?" He couldn't help smiling. "I feel more comfortable this way. Does it bother you? If it does, I'll put something on. Or, you could remove your top." She picked up the cushion and slapped him over the head with it. "You're so bad." This cushion slap started a tickle fight. With her underneath him, he would tickle her and try to undo the buttons on her top. She grabbed a hold of his hand and stopped him. "Hey, would you like to see something amazing?" "Why do you think I'm trying to get your top off?" he said jokingly. "If you would let me take your top off, then I would see something amazing." "No, I mean something amazing outside." "Like what?" She shoved him lightly off of her. "I want to show you something, so put on your clothes." They both put on their coat and boots, and taking his hand, she led him outside and started walking from the cabin. "Where are we going?" he asked, wondering why she had taken a blanket with her. Surely she couldn't be thinking of having sex outside in the cold, or could she? "You'll see." They walked until they got to an area where there were trees near the lake, and she placed the blanket over a fallen tree trunk. Sitting down, she patted the seat beside her. He went and sat her down with his arms crossed over his chest since it was cold out. "Well, obviously you're not planning on us having sex out here, so why did you bring me?" "Look up at the sky," she said, pointing with her index finger. He looked up and his jaw dropped, and his eyes went wide when he saw the beautiful lights in the sky. "Oh my God, I've heard of the Northern Lights but have never seen them before. How come I haven't seen them before now?" "I guess you weren't looking at the right time." "Isn't it beautiful?" she asked, staring up at them. "This is so breathtaking," he replied, putting his arm over her shoulder. "I wished I had brought my phone with me and I could have taken some pictures." "Maybe you can tomorrow night." He turned his head to look at her, his eyes moving to her lips as he lowered his head to kiss her. They sat there for over an hour, just staring up at the sky. Neither one wanted to think how soon their time together was ending. When he saw her shivering, he suggested they go back to the cabin and have something hot to drink. Back at the cabin, they had just settled down with hot cocoa when his phone rang. Seeing that it was his boss Karen, he excused himself to take it into the kitchen. She turned on the TV and waited for him to come back. When he did come back 10 minutes later, she saw a look on his face that sent chills up and down her spine. She got to her feet and faced him. "Was it bad news?" "Well, it's not what I was expecting." "From the look on your face, it's not good. Has something happened to your parents?" When he remained quiet, she got worried. "Ryan, you're scaring me. What's wrong? Please tell me." He took a deep breath before speaking. "That was Karen, my boss." "Oh, is there a problem with your article and does she not like it? You worked so hard on it and it's fantastic. I hope she doesn't want to drop it." "No, it's not that, and she loves everything that I sent her so far." "Then what is it?" "She wants me to go back to New York sooner than we expected." She tried to swallow the lump that had formed in the back of her throat. "Why?" "She wants to start printing the first article, and she needs me there to fill in a few holes, and she wants to have a meeting with me and some of the others before the New Year's Eve party. I have to go." Tears filled her eyes. She knew the day was coming, but for him to have to go back early was a shock. When do you have to leave? She's booked a flight out for me for tomorrow morning. Maddie felt as if her legs were going to give out from under her, and she had to hold on to the back of the sofa to stop from falling. Tomorrow? He went over to her and pulled her into his arms, and stroked the back of her head when she rested her cheek on his shoulder. I'm so sorry, Maddie. I thought we would have another day together, but at least we have tonight. She pulled out of his arms and backed up. I can't do this, she said, and ran into the bedroom. He followed her, and felt a wave of dread course through his body when he saw her packing her small bag. Maddie, what are you doing? I'm sorry, I've got to go home now, she said as she shoved her few clothes she had brought with her into the small backpack. Please don't go. Stay the night with me. I can't. I'm sorry, but I just can't, she said as the tears flowed from her eyes down her face. She zipped up the zipper on the bag and turned to leave, but was stopped when he grabbed her arm. I can't let you go like this. Just give us one more night. Without answering, she pulled from his grip and walked into the other room and grabbed her coat and started putting on her boots. You can't just leave like this, and it's dark outside. I don't want you going back into town this late. With her hand she wiped her tears away and looked up at him. I don't like long goodbyes, and it's better if I just go now. She touched the side of his face with her hand and looked him deep into his eyes. I want you to know that meeting you and getting to know you have been amazing. I wish you all the best in your career, and I just know that you will get that promotion and make a good life for yourself. Thank you for showing me what it's like to be with a man as wonderful as you, and I will never forget you. He had tears in his eyes when he looked back at her. I'll never forget you, and you will always be in my heart. I just wish you would stay tonight. Just give us this one last time together. She shook her head, and placing her hands on each side of his face, she drew him down and gave him a kiss. Goodbye, Ryan. Take care of yourself, she said, and then opened the door and ran out. She could hear him calling her the further she got away. He stood there watching her. His eyes felt heavy and his heart felt like it had been ripped right out of his chest. He couldn't believe it was ending like this. When she got back into town, and instead of going to her apartment, she went to her parents and knocked on the door. When her mother answered it, she started sobbing and found her mother's arms wrapping around her. Sweetheart, what's wrong? Mom, Ryan is leaving in the morning to go back to New York. Josie was dreading this day. She knew that her daughter was going to be upset when he left, but she had no idea that Maddie would take it this hard. Come inside, honey. When they got inside, her father came out from the bedroom, and with one look at his daughter, he knew that something terrible was wrong. Maddie, what's wrong, sweetheart? She was crying too hard, so her mother had to answer for her. Ryan is leaving in the morning. Take your coat off, hun. You stay here tonight with us. I'll go make us all some hot cocoa, he said, and left the two women alone. He was curious as to why Ryan was leaving 2 days early, and he hoped that he hadn't done anything physically to hurt his little girl. If he had laid a hand on her, he was going to march over there tonight and beat the crap out of him. He went back with the drinks and handed her one. You're freezing. Drink this. It will warm you up. Maddie knew her parents were wondering why he was leaving tomorrow, so she decided to tell them in between her sobs. His boss called and said he had to go back tomorrow. She had already booked his flight. I know I'm being silly and overdramatic, but I thought I had more time with him before he left. It was a shock when he told me. How long has he known he was leaving tomorrow? The son of a bitch could have told you before now, her father snapped. He didn't know until tonight. He just got the call less than an hour ago. After trying to console her, Josie had her go into the bedroom and get into bed, saying that she would bring her a warm glass of milk. Maddie put on one of her old nightgowns that she left there for such occasions when she stayed over and got into bed. She was laying there when her mother walked in with the milk and some cookies on a plate. Josie sat her down on the edge of the bed and placed the milk and cookies on the table. When you were a little girl and every time you were upset, I would always bring you milk and cookies. It always helped you to feel better. Now I know this is not the same thing and that your heart is breaking. I wish I could do something to make you feel better, but sweetheart, in time the pain will fade. I know that someday you are going to meet a man who you will fall in love with and you will be happy. But I love Ryan so much, and it doesn't feel like I'll ever be happy again. Why is every man that I care about leaving me? Oh baby, your ex wanted you to go with him, but you didn't love him enough, and Ryan, well, you always knew he would be leaving. I know, Mom, and I'll be okay. I just need some time to try and get over him. She reached up to touch the necklace he had given her. Somehow she didn't think she would ever get over him. How about tomorrow we go downstairs and do some baking? That will keep your mind busy, and I'll get your father to make us up some of those cream puffs that you love so much. Try and get some sleep, baby, and I love you. Good night, Mom. I love you too, and thank you for letting me stay the night. I just didn't want to be alone. You know you are welcome here anytime. Your father and I love you, and we will always be here for you. Getting up, she leaned over and gave her daughter a kiss on the forehead before leaving the room. Chapter 16. Ryan considered going after her but decided against it. He knew she was hurting and didn't want her to feel worse than she already did. He knew the day was coming, but he wasn't prepared for all the mixed feelings he was going through. That night he didn't get any sleep. Her scent still lingered on the sheets. Getting out of bed, he showered and changed, grabbed the suitcase and carried it into the living room. Once his clothes were inside, he was about to close it when he heard a noise coming from outside. He ran to the door and opened it, hoping to see Maddie, but there was no one in sight. Just then he saw his cab coming down the road toward the cabin. Harry rolled down his window. "Hey, Ryan, I'm a few minutes early." He waved to Harry. "Just give me a few minutes to finish packing," he said, turning to go back inside. There he went over to his bags and was just about to close them when something shiny caught his eye. He looked over at the tree and noticed something at the back of it. With raised eyebrows, he walked slowly over and picked up the gift wrapped in blue, shiny Christmas paper. He stared at it and wondered if Maddie had put it there before she left. When he heard Harry honking, he knew he had to get going if he were to catch his flight in time. Placing the gift inside his bag, he put on his boots and coat, grabbed his luggage and locked the cabin door behind him. Harry got out and helped him put the luggage into the trunk. "So are you wanting to stop in town before going to the airport?" "No, just take me straight there." He could tell that Ryan was upset. "You sure you don't want to go just to say goodbye to some people?" I said no. Besides, I don't want to be late for my flight. He was tired and grumpy and didn't feel like talking, but that didn't stop Harry from talking. "It's too bad you have to leave a day early. I'm sure the town folks would have liked to have sent you off with a farewell party. It's also a shame you're not going to be here for the New Year's Eve party. I think you would have enjoyed yourself. It's a big deal for all of us. Lots to drink and lots to eat, and we even hire a live band to play the music for us to dance to." Ryan just Saturdayed back and let Harry ramble on. He didn't even hear half of what the driver was saying. All he could think about was Maddie and how hurt she looked last night when she left his cabin. He was glad when they finally arrived at the airport. Reaching into his wallet, he handed Harry the cab fare and gave him a huge tip. "Good luck back in New York, and I hope that someday you'll come back and visit us." "Thank you, and you never know. I just might get back this way someday. You take care of yourself now and tell everybody I said goodbye, and that I was sorry I couldn't do it in person, but it's important I get back right away." Once he was seated in first class, he leaned back and closed his eyes. He hadn't had any sleep and was hoping to on the plane, but every time he closed his eyes all he could see was the blonde, blue-eyed beauty that he had left behind. Not being able to sleep, he took out his phone and scrolled through the photos he had taken. Most of them were of Maddie. With his index fingers, he traced the outline of her face, and sadness overwhelmed him. Meanwhile, back in Alaska, Maddie had woken up to the smell of her mother cooking breakfast. She rubbed her eyes before getting out of bed and going into the bathroom to wash up. She looked in the mirror. Her eyes were red and swollen. Her face was pale. She felt terrible for running out on Ryan last night, especially when she heard the pain in his voice as he called out to her. Maybe she overreacted and could have stayed one more night with him, but when she heard that he was leaving in the morning, it hit her hard. The reality that he was actually going. If she had stayed, she knew she would only end up crying most of the night, making him feel bad, and she didn't want to do that. When Maddie walked into the kitchen, Josie told her to sit down and handed her a cup of coffee. It broke her heart to see her daughter looking so sad, and it was obvious she had been crying most of the night. "Breakfast smells delicious," Maddie said as she took a sip of her coffee. Josie put the French toast and bacon on a plate and Saturday it in front of her. "Eat it while it's hot." When she noticed that Maddie was just pushing her food around with a fork, she sat her down and placed her hand over the top of hers. "You have to eat something to keep your strength up. I'm just not very hungry. You'll feel better if you eat something, even just a little bit. Then, when we're done, we'll go downstairs and start on some of the baking. Your father's already down there making the cream puffs we promised you." Maddie had to smile. Her parents knew that whenever she was upset, all they had to do was make one of their famous cream puffs. It had always been one of her favorites ever since she was a little girl. So she managed to eat half of her French toast and one piece of bacon. A little later she went downstairs with her mother, and they started making some baked goods that they needed to have ready for New Year's Eve. It was a busy day, because people were buying treats to serve at their parties. When they were done, she told her parents she was going to go home. They didn't want her to go, but they understood that she needed time to be alone. Her father packaged up 2 of the cream puffs for her to take home. Maddie had only been home an hour when there was a knock at her door. When she opened it, Derek was standing there. "I hope I'm not bothering you. I went over to the bakery and your mother told me you were here, so I thought I would come over and see how you're doing." Even though she had put on her baggy pajamas and house coat, she let him into her apartment. The 2 of them had been friends for so many years, and she asked him if he wanted some coffee. So he came in and sat her down while she made it, and she even offered him one of the cream puffs, which he gladly accepted. "So how are you doing? I mean, I know that Ryan's gone, and that you had grown quite close, and I'm just worried about you." "I'll be all right," she said, taking a bite of her pastry. "The reason I came here was to ask you if you would like to go to the New Year's Eve party with me. I don't feel much like going to a party, but you've always loved our New Year's Eve party, and I'm just asking you as a friend. Nothing more than that. Go with me. It'll be better than sitting here all alone and everyone's going to be there." "I don't know." "Come on, Maddie. It'll help take your mind off of Ryan." "Maybe you're right. And Mom and Dad will be there." "Okay, I'll go with you, but just as friends, and it's not a date." He stayed for over an hour and they talked. Once he was gone, she curled up on the couch. The TV was on, but she wasn't paying any attention to it. She kept looking at the heart locket that Ryan had given her for Christmas. It was one that opened up where you could put pictures in it. She just wasn't sure what ones she would use. Maybe she would put her parents in it. Back to Ryan. No matter how much he wished and tried to get some sleep, he just couldn't. He looked around at the others in first class. Most of them were busy on their phones and laptops. Their spouses sat beside them looking bored as they flipped through magazines. None of them had spoken to him when he got on the plane. No one was wishing anyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Whereas in Fairbanks you couldn't walk more than a few steps without people wishing you all the best for the holidays. By the time his plane landed in New York, he was totally drained and all he wanted to do was go to bed and sleep. But he knew that wasn't going to be possible, since he only had time to go home and drop off his luggage before going to the office for the meeting. Walking into his apartment, he dropped the suitcases by the door and went into the kitchen to make some coffee. He had less than 3 hours before he had to meet with Karen. While the coffee was brewing, he went in and took a quick shower and changed into his suit. He had everything ready to give her. He spent all last night typing everything up and downloading the pictures. All that was left to do now was to get her approval, and then it would go to print. From what she had told him, it would be broken down into parts, and each part would go into circulation 1 week apart. He should have been happy, knowing that what he had written was going to be a success, and he would be sure to get a promotion. Not only would that mean more money, but it also meant he would be able to get more important assignments. It was something he had been working towards for a long time. There was a knock at the door, and when he went to answer it, he was shocked to see Sandy. "What are you doing here, and how do you know where I live?" She walked in without being invited. "I called your office where you work. Philip Andrews gave me your address. I called you when you were in Alaska and some woman answered. Did she not give you my message?" "She gave it to me." "Then why didn't you call me back?" "I should have, but I got busy and forgot." "Well, since you never called me back, I thought I'd come over and confirm our date for New Year's Eve." He ran his fingers through the back of his hair. "About that, I'm afraid I have to cancel. I don't much feel like going out New Year's Eve." "What the hell? You can't cancel on me at the last minute. I thought that night we spent together meant something to you." "Oh, come on. It was just a one-night stand, and I only asked you to the party because I knew I wouldn't find anyone else, since I was going to be away for a month. Look, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you." She slapped him across the face. "You jerk. Now I don't have a date for New Year's Eve. Is it because of that bitch who answered your phone that you changed your mind about me?" "Don't call her that. She's a nice person. I had a meeting to go to, so I think you better leave. And again, I'm sorry, but I'm sure you'll find someone else to go with." Rubbing the cheek where she had slapped him, he wasn't mad that she had slapped him. He knew he deserved it. He had plenty of time and opportunity to call her to break the date instead of waiting until the last minute. But in his defense, he'd totally forgotten all about her once he met Maddie. He carried his luggage into the bedroom and placed them on the bed. He unzipped the one bag and there was the gift he had placed inside. He picked it up and looked at it. There was no card with it. He was about to open it, but then he looked at the time on his watch and knew he had to get going if he were to make the meeting in time. The gift would have to wait until he came back. Chapter 17. When Ryan arrived at the office, everyone was waiting for him in the meeting room. After greeting them, he sat down at the far end. Karen was standing at the other end and waited for him to get seated. "Welcome back, Ryan. Now I want to see what else you have for me." He took a file from his briefcase and moved it down the table for her to look at. She took it and read it, and then had him plug in the memory stick so that everyone could see all the pictures on the big screen. Everyone couldn't get over the ones of Maddie and made comments. "She's so gorgeous, and such a kind heart to do what she does," the man called Frederick commented. Ryan nodded his head in agreement. "She's all of that and more. That town and everyone in it is magical, not only during the Christmas holidays, but from what I've learned they're like that all the time. I am a little disappointed that you couldn't find anything out about a magical mistletoe or Santa Claus, but there is enough here to make for a good story," Karen said with a big smile on her face. After they went through more details and all worked together to change some sentences around, Karen announced that the meeting was over and that they had everything they needed to start printing. "Okay, everyone, go home now and I'll see you all at the New Year's Eve party." When everyone got up to leave, Karen asked Ryan to stay behind. When they were all gone, she sat down across from him. "I'm very pleased with the work you've done, and I am happy to say that I am going to offer you a promotion. This means that you will be traveling quite a bit." He just sat there. Even though this was what he wanted, he wasn't happy. "Thank you," he said as he got up and was ready to leave. "You don't seem too excited. Is something wrong that you would like to talk about?" "Everything is fine. I'll see you later." "Well, if there is something you want to talk about, I'll be here for a few hours yet. I want to get started on this right away." By the time he arrived home, he was no longer tired, just feeling down in the dumps. It was then that he picked up the gift and unwrapped it. He stared at it in disbelief. There was no way this was possible. When he was a little boy, he loved watching Western shows with cowboys. He had secretly prayed to Santa for 2 years for a gun and holster set that all little boys play cowboy and Indians with. He had told no one about this, not even Maddie, so there was no way she could have put this gift under the Christmas tree. Just then a picture of her popped into his head and a big smile crossed his face. Now he knew why he wasn't happy about the promotion. It wasn't what he wanted after all. What he wanted was the woman he fell in love with, Maddie. Putting the gift down, he reached for his phone and made a few calls. He couldn't get a flight out right away, and there wasn't a seat available the following day. So he called around and found someone who owned a small 4-seater plane that was willing to fly him to Alaska. The only problem was he had to wait the next day to go. If he was lucky, he would arrive back in Fairbanks before midnight struck. He got busy packing all of his clothes into suitcases and his personal belongings into boxes. Once that was done, he headed out to run an errand and to stop by and talk to Karen. When Ryan walked into the office, Karen lifted her head up. "What are you doing back here?" He walked up to her and placed a piece of paper in front of her. "I want to thank you for the opportunity, and I appreciate you giving me this job in the first place, but it's not what I want anymore. There's something more important." "What are you trying to say, and what is this piece of paper?" "I quit and this is my resignation." "You can't quit. This is an opportunity of a lifetime." "I can quit and I am. But why and what are you going to do?" "I thought this was what I wanted. But after having been in Alaska and meeting all those people, it made me realize that I'm not happy here. I was happy there and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for sending me there." "Has this got anything to do with that young lady, Maddie?" "She's a big part of it, and she's also the woman I'm going to marry." "I'm sorry, Karen, but I got a lot to do before I leave to go back." Karen got to her feet and placed her hands on her hips. "For crying out loud, don't throw everything away just because you had a fling with the girl. She wasn't a fling. Don't rush into anything. Think about it for a while. At least wait until after the party, and if you decide that's what you still want to do, then I will understand." "Oh, Karen, I don't need time to think about it. It's what I want. Goodbye, Karen, and thank you for everything. If you walk out now, your career in New York will be over," she said as he walked out the door. He knew that even though she was furious with him, she would still print the story. As far as a career in New York went, he didn't care because he was heading to a new life, a better one, but he had to hurry because he still had things to do before he left, and he also needed to grab a couple of hours sleep. After he finished his errands, He made a few phone calls. He laid down to take a nap. He couldn't wait to get on that plane and back to Alaska, hoping he would make it before midnight. There was no way he wanted someone else to give her a New Year's Eve kiss. It had to be him. Ryan woke up and realized he had overslept and knew he had to rush to get to the airport. He just grabbed the bags he would need and the rest he would send for. Rushing out the door, he took his car and drove the short distance to where the plane was waiting for him. "You're late," Carl said as he looked at his watch. "Sorry about that, but I'm here now, so let's get going." "I'm not sure we should. It looks like there's a storm brewing, and we sure don't want to get caught in that." Now this got him panicking. "Look, I've got to get there tonight and before midnight. I will pay double the money." "Okay, let's get going before the storm gets worse." When they got in the air, Ryan was a little bit nervous. He wasn't used to flying in such a small plane, and it was a lot bumpier of a ride than a normal jet. It didn't help that the plane was an older model, and the pilot was up in years. "So what's her name?" Ryan looked at Carl. "What? When a man is this anxious to get somewhere in bad weather, it has to be about a girl." "Maddie. And I was a fool to leave her in the first place. I just hope I'm not too late and that she will welcome me back." Ryan's heart felt like it was jumping in his throat when the plane started jerking and the storm got worse. He could only hope that they would arrive safely. It was a storm that brought the two of them together, and it appeared as if the storm was trying to keep them apart. But come hell or high water, he was determined to get back to her. It took longer than he thought it would to get to Alaska, but they finally landed and he let out a breath of relief. It was the scariest ride he had ever had in his whole life. Ryan had already paid Carl, but seeing that the weather was so bad, he gave him extra money to stay in a hotel for the night. He couldn't risk the man losing his life in the storm that was getting worse by the minute. He then called for a cab to pick them up, checking his watch every few minutes. It seemed to take forever for the cab to arrive, and when it did, Harry was the driver. He threw his bags in the back seat and got up front with him. "Sorry it took me so long to get here, but the weather is getting really bad. I'm actually very happy to see you are back so soon." "Thank you, and you have got to get me back to town before midnight." "What's your hurry?" "I've got to get to Maddie before the clock strikes 12. "Oh, I get it, the midnight kiss at the magical hour. Do you think you can get me there in time?" He was starting to sweat. It was still a 20-minute drive to town. "I'll do my best, but this weather is making it hard to see the road." "So how was your plane ride here?" "I've never flown in a small plane before, and I tell you it was rough. There were times I thought we weren't going to make it and would crash." "Carl's a good pilot. He's flown in worse weather than this." Ryan heard a noise, and then Harry pulled over to the side of the road. "What was that noise, and why are you pulling over?" "I think I have a flat, so I better go check." Ryan let out a loud sigh and got out of the car to check the tire. Harry scratched his chin. "It's not completely flat, but it does have a low leak in it, so I'm going to have to change it." "Won't it last until we get back to town?" "Sorry, my boy. It'll only take me a moment. Go pop open the trunk and grab the spare tire for me, will you?" He did as he was asked and grabbed the tire and helped him change it. "I don't think I'm going to make it there before midnight, but maybe she didn't go to the party and stayed home. From what I heard, Derek asked her to go to the party and she said yes." "Oh, that's just great. Now he will be the one to give her the first kiss on New Year's when it should be me. I was such a fool to leave here in the first place." Harry chuckled as he put the flat tire in the trunk and closed the lid. "We all knew it." "You all knew what?" "That you were in love with her, and for the life of us, we couldn't understand why you left. You should have told the girl how you felt." "I know I should have, but I was afraid to tell her because I knew that she wouldn't go back to New York with me. I didn't realize until I got back that this was where I belong. You must know that she is in love with you too, and it broke her heart when you left." "I know, and the last thing I wanted to do was hurt her, but I plan on making it up to her. Damn, I just know I'm not going to get back there in time." "Don't give up yet. You still have time. With the weather getting as bad as it is, there's no way we can make it. It would take a miracle." "Well, this is the season for miracles," Harry said with a twinkle in his eyes. Chapter 18. The strangest thing happened. The wind and snow stopped suddenly, making it easier for Harry to drive faster. He arrived at the hall and stopped the car. Ryan's heart was beating fast. "I can't believe we made it. Why are you still sitting here? You only have 6 minutes to find her and claim your kiss." Ryan nodded his head and opened the door, racing to the front door. As soon as he got inside, he took off his coat, and when people started noticing him, He held his finger to his mouth, indicating for them not to let on that he was there. He looked around the room for Maddie. Maddie and Derek were standing by the wall, talking. "There are only a few minutes until midnight, and I was hoping it would be okay with you if I were to give you a kiss," Derek asked politely. The last thing she wanted to do was kiss Derek, or anyone for that matter. "I don't think that's a good idea. It's New Year's, and everybody should have a kiss, and I promise you, it will just be a friendship kiss, a quick kiss on the lips." "Well, I guess as long as it's just a quick one, and you don't think that it means anything, I give you my word." He happened to glance over her shoulder and saw Ryan walking towards them with his finger over his mouth. Derek put his hands on her shoulders and turned her so that she couldn't see who was approaching. Then the countdown began. "Maddie, I want you to do something for me." "What?" "I want you to close your eyes and keep them closed." "But why?" she asked, confused by his request. "Just do it, trust me." She shrugged her shoulders and closed her eyes and waited for the kiss once. They all yelled Happy New Year. Derek removed his hands and looked at Ryan and stepped aside so that he could take his place. As soon as everybody shouted, "Happy New Year," and whistles and bells went off, he placed his hands on the side of her cheeks and lowered his lips onto hers. Her eyes flew open the moment his lips touched hers, and she knew it wasn't Derek. Placing her hand on his chest, she broke the kiss and looked up at him with a tear trickling down her cheek. "Ryan, you're here." He still held her face in his hands and looked lovingly into her eyes. "Yes, I'm here." "How? Why? I don't understand what's going on here. When I got back to New York, I realized that I didn't belong there. I belong here, with you, the woman I love. I love you, Maddie. I love you too." He gave her the biggest smile he could muster. "Happy New Year, sweetheart," he said, giving her the most passionate kiss he could. Then when the kiss ended, he held her hand and got down on one knee. "Ryan, what are you doing?" she asked as people were quiet and watching them. "Maddie, my whole life I have never felt like I truly belong anywhere or that anybody loved me. That is until now, when I came here and met all these wonderful people who welcomed me as if I were one of them. But it was you that opened my eyes to the fact that there was more to life than money. It was you who showed me what love truly is and how to love, and I don't want to live another day without you." He reached into his pocket with his free hand, and taking out the tiny box, flipped it open with one finger. "Maddie, will you marry me and grow old with me?" She stared at the gorgeous ring that sparkled within the box, and her hand flew to her mouth to cover up the surprised look. "But what about New York and your job that you said you loved so much?" "This is where I belong, and where I will be happy with you. We can discuss all of that later, but sweetheart, will you please give me your answer?" She took a deep breath as she looked into his eyes, and in the background, she heard somebody shout out, "Say yes. Yes, yes, I will marry you." He then stood up, took the ring out of the box and placed it over her finger. "Happy New Year, sweetheart. I love you so much," he said as he wrapped his arms around her waist and, picking her up off of her feet, kissed her. Everyone was watching and listening, and when she said yes to his proposal, they all cheered and clapped loudly. It was a beautiful start to a new year for all of them. After everyone congratulated them, he took her over to the dance floor so that they could have their first dance of the year together. "So what happens now?" she asked, looking at him with so much love in her eyes. "First, I'm going to have to find a place to live, since my cabin is no longer available. I could use a roommate. That is if you want to move in with me." "I was hoping you would say that. Oh my God, I just remembered that Harry is outside waiting for me with my luggage. What say we leave here now and go back to your place?" She agreed, and after saying goodbye to everybody, they went outside to where Harry was waiting inside his cab. "Where to, folks?" "It's okay, Harry. I'll just grab my luggage, and thank you so much for waiting. It was my pleasure, and I'm so glad to see that things worked out between the two of you. I reckon we'll be seeing you from now on." Ryan smiled back at him as he removed his luggage from the trunk. "Yes, you will, and I'm very excited to tell you that I proposed to Maddie and she accepted. Congratulations. I'm very happy for the two of you. And are you sure you don't want me to give you a ride somewhere?" "No, it's okay. We're just going around the corner," Ryan replied, smiling over at her. He was so happy and couldn't wait to start his life with the woman who had captured his heart the moment he had laid eyes on her. When they got inside her apartment, he dropped his luggage and they removed their outerwear. When he drew her into his arms, she stopped him from kissing her. "I have so many questions to ask you. You can ask me as many questions as you want and I will answer them." But it can wait because right now all I want is to make love to you. He picked her up in his arms, locking his lips with hers. He carried her into the bedroom. When they were done, she lay with her head resting on his chest, her fingers gently caressing his stomach. Are you sure that moving here and getting married is what you really want? I was a fool to leave here in the first place. All I could think about was you and how much I was missing you. Sitting in that office and listening to what was going on, my thoughts were all over the place. I kept thinking about you. And if I had made a mistake by leaving, my heart was telling me to come back and that I loved you. But I was too stupid to realize it at that moment. So what made you realize it? You're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you. It actually started the day I left, and I noticed a Christmas present under the tree. I didn't open it at the time. It wasn't until I got back to New York, and after the meeting, that I remembered it was in my bag. You're never going to guess what the gift was. Probably not, so why don't you just tell me? Do you remember that time we talked about Santa and I told you how I secretly prayed for a special gift, one I never ever got? Yes, I remember. When I opened the gift, I was totally blown away. It was what I had asked Santa for when I was little, a cowboy gun set. I had never told anyone about it, not even you or my parents or any of our housekeepers. It was then that I realized that I had made a big mistake. I leaving you and not believing in Santa. I mean, who else could have left it there? Well, that is hard to believe, but I for one am glad. It made you realize where you really belong. I was so heartbroken when you left, and I should have told you that I loved you. I should have told you too. But the main thing is I'm here now, and I'm never going to leave you again. But you gave up your job, so what are you going to do now? Well, I called Pete Robinson from New York and told him I was interested in buying his business, and he agreed to sell it to me at a really good price. So I will be my own boss, and I plan on upgrading the equipment and expanding the paper. I will need to hire a couple of people, a receptionist and someone to help me print off the paper and to help follow up on stories. Can you really afford all of that? I've managed to save up quite a bit of money and made some good investments. I will also get money from the sale of my apartment and my car. There's also the trust fund my parents gave me, which will help cover the cost, and I will even be able to buy us a house. I didn't realize you had that much money. I should have known when you put this ring on my finger. I had never seen anything so beautiful, and it must have cost you a fortune. Don't worry about what it cost. As long as you like it, that's all that matters. Now, my sweet little Christmas angel, we need to start planning our wedding. Just so you know, I don't plan on waiting long to make you my wife. I do want a church wedding, and I hope you realize that just about everybody that lives in this town is going to expect an invitation. I know, and I'm happy to have them there. How long do you think it will take us to arrange a wedding? It won't take that long. It will be a simple wedding with our friends and family. Let's set the date soon, because I can't wait to be married to you. I'm going to be really busy with setting up the business, bringing in some new equipment and hiring some people. I want us to start looking for a house straight away. Ryan, are you going to invite your parents? What would be the point? They probably wouldn't even show up. They might surprise you, and I think you should at least send them an invitation and let them know you're getting married. Okay, I'll let them know, but don't count on them showing up. Even if they were to show up, they would probably look down their noses at everybody. I hate to say it about my own parents, but they're nothing but rich snobs. She still couldn't help feeling sorry for him, and had no idea what it was like to have parents like that. Her own parents were warm and loving, and she loved them with all of her heart. She took another look at her ring. Something was weighing on her, and she had to get it out. Are you absolutely sure that this is what you want, and that in a few years you won't regret your decision? I know you say you love it here, but you're still new, and they say that in the beginning. It all seems perfect. What if the novelty of this place wears off? I couldn't bear to lose you. He rolled her over onto her back and climbed on top of her. I know everything is perfect now and that there will be rough times ahead, but the one thing I do know is that I will never stop loving you or regret moving here. I am going to be so busy with work and you and our children. I won't have time to be bored. Children? Yeah, I can't wait to become a father. Now I don't even have to ask, but I'll bet anything you also want to have a few little ones running around. I do, but we should wait just a little while until you get settled and the time is right. The time is always right, and I think we should start right now. I'm on the pill, you know. That's okay. We can have fun trying, he said as he lowered his mouth onto hers. Chapter 19. On New Year's Day, They spent the day together in her apartment, going over plans for the wedding. They were invited to go to her parents for dinner that night. Both Josie and Ted were excited and happy for their daughter. "What a beautiful ring," Josie said, looking at it with a smile on her face. She just knew that Ryan would make her happy. Over dinner, Ted, who was a very protective father, started asking Ryan questions about their future. "So what are your plans now that you're here to stay?" "I've decided to buy the newspaper business, and Maddie and I are going to start looking for a house. I just want to let you know that I love your daughter with all of my heart and I will always love and protect her for as long as I live. I can see how much you two love each other, and I know you will take good care of her. Now for the wedding. Have you given any thought to a date yet?" Maddie and Ryan looked at each other and smiled before answering. "We were thinking of 3 months from now," Maddie answered for the both of them. "We don't want anything big or fancy, just want to get married in the church and a small reception in the hall." "Well, then we better get started on finding you a dress. I can talk to the ladies, and we can come up with a menu and book the hall," Josie said. She was so excited to be planning her daughter's wedding. "Dad, Ryan is having all of his personal belongings sent here, like his clothes and pictures and so on. We were wondering if we could store some of his stuff in your small storage area downstairs. There's nothing in there anyway, so, of course, you can, but your apartment is so small for the two of you." "Well, sir, like I said, we're going to start looking for a house right away. I've actually seen a couple that is up for sale, but I want Maddie to look at them first before I put an offer on one of them." Ted chuckled. "You don't waste any time, do you?" "No, sir. I always say if you want something you should go for it, before someone else snatches it away from you." After dinner and on their way back to her apartment, she was curious as to the houses he was talking about. "So are you going to tell me the houses you were thinking about?" "Oh, you're going to love them. One is quite large with 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms and lots of room if we were to have a ton of kids." She started laughing when she looked at him. "Well, let's not get carried away. Maybe 2 or 3. "Whatever you say, my love." Now the other house is a 3-bedroom with 2 bathrooms. It has a very large kitchen and living room and a den, where I could do my work and have my office. It also has a nice sized backyard. "So when do I get to see them?" "I'd booked an appointment for 2 days from now." The next couple of days, Ryan was busy finalizing the purchase of Pete's business. He also called a friend in New York to have all of his belongings sent to him. He then had to call the real estate agent and list his apartment for sale and said to include the furniture. Maddie was kept busy in the bakery helping her parents. She and her mother got started looking for a dress, but had to go to the city of Fairbanks. They only had to go into one dress shop when she found the perfect dress. It just needed a bit of alteration, and would be able to go back in a week for the final fitting. The day came when they went to go look at the houses. He took her to the first one that was just outside of their little town. Walking inside, she looked around. She didn't say a word as they walked through the house. "So what do you think?" he asked, wondering why she was so quiet. She turned to look at him. "Do you like it, and is this the house you want?" "Yeah, I like it a lot, but it is going to be your home too, and I want you to be happy. If this isn't what you want, we can keep looking around." "Can I be totally honest with you?" she asked, hoping he wouldn't get upset with her. He placed his hand on her shoulder, smiling at her. "You can always be honest with me, but I get the feeling you don't like it." "Oh, I like it. It's a beautiful home and so big." "Why do I get the feeling there's a but coming?" "It's just too big and it doesn't have that county warm feeling. I know anybody would be so lucky to have this home." He placed the palms of his hands on each side of her cheeks. "Then we will not take this one and go check out the other house. And if you don't care for that one either, we will keep looking." Her heart swelled with love for him. He was being so sweet and loving. "Thank you," she said as she stood on her tippy toes and kissed him hard on the lips. They headed to the other house that was much closer to town. As soon as they walked inside, and he saw her eyes light up, he had a feeling this was going to be their home. "Oh, Ryan, this house is perfect and I love the kitchen. I know it only has 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, but it feels like home. The one room downstairs would be perfect for an office for you. So you really like this place?" "I do. I really do." "Then let's go put an offer on it before someone else does." He was almost knocked over when she jumped into his arms and started kissing him. A month later, the house was officially theirs and they were able to move in right away. Everything for the wedding had been settled. The hall was rented, the invitation sent out. Ryan had started upgrading his new business and had to wait for the new equipment to arrive. Now that wouldn't take place until after the wedding, so in the meantime, he got busy hiring a receptionist and a young man to help him. Things started off slow, but he knew that in time it would grow and start making a profit. His personal belongings had arrived and were stored in Maddie's parents' shop until they got settled in their home. Having moved into their new home, they didn't have much furniture to start with. Just a sofa, a kitchen table, and of course a brand new bed. They would eventually be able to fill the place up with everything they needed. It was getting close to the wedding and a letter came for Ryan. It was postmarked from Italy, so she figured it was from his parents and was hoping that they would come to the wedding. She hurried over to his shop to give him the letter. When Maddie walked in and over to his office, he smiled when he saw her. "This is a nice surprise," he said, getting up to give her a kiss. "This letter just came for you and I think it might be from your parents, so I wanted to bring it right over." He took the letter from her hand and slowly opened it and read the contents. "I didn't think they'd come," he said with a hint of sadness in his voice. She felt so bad for him. "I'm so sorry. Did they say why they weren't coming?" "Yeah, they're going on a cruise with some other people. They did congratulate me on getting married and said they hoped I would be happy and send me this," he said, holding up a check. She took the check from him, and her eyes went as wide as saucers when she saw the amount. $50,000. Oh my God, that's a lot of money. What are you going to do with it? My first thought was to tear it up, and then I changed my mind. He put his arm around her waist and brought her closer to him. "This money will be more than enough to totally furnish our home. There will even be enough that we can go somewhere for a honeymoon." She still felt bad that her future in-laws weren't coming to the wedding and knew that deep down it bothered him. "Are you sure you don't want to put it towards your business?" "Oh, sweetheart, I've got that all covered. Now I want you to go with me shopping and get some furniture, and then tell me where you'd like to go for a honeymoon." The 3 months flew by. Their home was now furnished and a week's honeymoon booked for New York. She wanted to see the place where he grew up and lived. He also promised to take her to some shows. The wedding, when he saw her walking down the aisle with her father, he couldn't stop staring at her. She was absolutely gorgeous in her dress, and his love for her grew 3 times more. He felt like the luckiest man in the world to have found such a sweet and wonderful woman. He just knew that their life together was going to be full of love and happiness. Once they were pronounced husband and wife, he wasn't shy about showing how much he loved her when he kissed her. Pictures were taken, and then it was time to go to the reception hall and have their dinner, and then afterwards a night of dancing and champagne. They spent their wedding night in their home, enjoying a night of passion, before catching a flight to New York the next morning. 9 months after their wedding, Christmas had rolled around and they went to their annual Christmas party. While they were up dancing, he spotted Chris and Mary coming in and sitting down. "Why have we not seen the Walkers all year? Yet here they are." She looked over at that older couple and back at him with a smile on her face. "Come to think of it, that is the only time we really see them. They don't like to go out much from what I've heard, and will only come out for our early Christmas Eve party. We should go over and say hello, and tell them we're sorry that they missed our wedding." After talking to the older couple and getting their congratulations, Ryan walked with her over to the bar. "What would you like to drink?" "Just a glass of ginger ale." "But it's Christmas. Don't you want to enjoy a couple of drinks before we go home?" "Wait, I know you've not been feeling well the last couple of days. If you're still feeling sick, we can go home." "No, I'm fine now. Maybe you just had a touch of the flu." "It wasn't the flu." He looked at her curiously. "Then what was it? I hope it wasn't anything more serious. And if it was, you should have told me." She put her arms around his neck and gave him the sweetest smile she could muster. "The reason I'm not drinking is that I'm pregnant." He stopped dancing. There was this burst of happiness that flowed through his body as he looked into her eyes. "You're pregnant. I'm going to be a dad." "Yes, you are." Lifting her up off of her feet, he swung her round, before setting her down and giving her a kiss that seemed to last forever. When he finally broke the kiss, he shouted out through all the noise, "Hey everybody, I'm going to be a dad." No one was happier than Josie and Ted at finding out they were going to be grandparents. They even warned the young couple that they were going to spoil the baby like no other child had been spoiled before. Derek, who had become good friends with Ryan, congratulated him and gave Maddie a big hug. A little while later, Ryan noticed that she was getting tired, so he suggested they go home. When they got there, he made her go and get ready for bed while he went and made her a snack. He brought her in some milk and cookies and set them on the table beside her side of the bed. "I ate at the party, so I'm not hungry." "Well, you need to get plenty of rest, food, and I'm going to make sure that you do." Are you going to be pampering me during the whole pregnancy? Yes, I am, so you better get used to it. I love you so much, he said, removing his clothes and getting into bed next to her. He placed his hand over her stomach and leaned over to kiss her. This is the best Christmas ever. Hearing that you're pregnant. Well, this and the time we first met. Over the next few months, everything was going well with her pregnancy. Everything except for the fact that Ryan was overly protective and constantly keeping an eye on her. He insisted that she sleep even when she wasn't tired and made sure she ate healthy meals. She was now in her 8th month of pregnancy, and when he had left to go to work, she got dressed and went into town to her parents' shop. Honey, what are you doing here? Ryan says you are supposed to be resting. Mom, I love him so much that he's driving me crazy. He acts like I'm so fragile and the only woman to ever be pregnant. Oh, honey, you got to consider yourself lucky. A lot of men wouldn't fuss so much, and Ryan loves you with all of his heart, and he's so excited about becoming a father. I have a feeling that he's going to be one fantastic father. I guess you're right. It's just that sometimes it can get very annoying. Hopefully, once the baby comes, he will tone it down a little. Oh, don't look now, but here he comes. Maddie turned around and saw him walking in the door with a stern look on his face. He had told her to stay home and rest, and she knew she was in for a bit of a lecture. Chapter 20. Epilogue. Ryan, what are you doing here? She asked nervously. He walked over to her. The question is, why are you here and not at home resting? I went home to check up on you and you weren't there, so I figured you'd be here. Are you spying on me? No, I was just checking up to make sure you were okay. Oh my God, you are driving me crazy with your constant nagging. Just because I'm pregnant doesn't make me incapable of doing anything. You do realize that women work and do everything they've done before they got pregnant. Years ago, they used to work in fields, plowing and other hard labor, and they delivered healthy babies. I know that, but that was then and this is now, and you're my wife and you are carrying my child. I just want to make sure nothing happens to either one of you. She didn't want to argue with him in front of her parents. Just leave me the hell alone. Where are you going? He asked when she started walking out the door. Away from you, and don't you dare follow me. When he went to follow her, Ted stopped him. Son, it's best you let her go. Just give her some space to cool off. She's a very smart girl, and would never do anything to harm her child. I just worry about her so much. I know you do, but she is right. You are suffocating her with too much worrying. Maybe you need to relax and know that she will always do the right thing. Go back to work, and when you get home, talk to her and straighten everything out. Thanks, Ted. You're right. He left the shop and went back to his office. He hated it when they fought and wanted to make things right between them. When he was done work, he stopped and bought some flowers and went home. He found her asleep on the couch and went over and kneeled down. She opened her eyes and saw him watching her, which didn't do any good for the mood she was in. So now you're going to watch me while I sleep. I just wanted to apologize for the way I have been lately. I know I've been hovering over you like an old mother hen, and I'm sorry. Here, I got you these to apologize. She looked at the flowers and then at him. They're beautiful. So do you forgive me? That depends. On what? Are you going to stop being a control freak and monitoring everything I do? He reached up to touch her cheek. I give you my word that I will stop and let you do whatever you want. Again, I am so sorry for stressing you out the last few months. She put her arms around his neck and smiled at him. Then I forgive you. He touched her belly, but I'm not sure if I will be able to control myself from being an overprotective father to our little girl. You'll be fine, with my help. I'm afraid I didn't make dinner. I was going to, but I was so mad at you. That's okay. I'll go and pick us up something. What would you like? Pizza, with the works. I also want some cheesy garlic bread and a tub of butterscotch ripple. She was expecting him to say that it wasn't healthy for her to have all that junk food, but she was very pleased when he didn't object and just got up and ordered the food for pickup. 1 month later, she went into labor. Ryan was excited and nervous at the same time. 7 hours later, Emily Webster was born at 7 pounds and 3 ounces. Once everyone heard about the birth, presents and gifts for the baby started pouring in. She's so beautiful, Ryan said as he sat her day in the chair next to Maddie's hospital bed holding his newborn daughter. Her parents came and were overjoyed with happiness when they saw their first grandchild. A few visitors showed up during her stay in the hospital. Over the next 4 years, Emily grew into a sweet and kind-hearted girl just like her mother. She did, however, look so much like her father with her dark hair and her eyes. Just like 𝒏𝒏, she stole the hearts of everybody in town. It was now Christmas time once again, and every year, they went to the early Christmas party dressed in Santa costumes. While they were dancing, Ryan looked over at the table, where Chris and Mary Walker were seated. There they are again this year like clockwork. Why is it they never come out? And come to think of it, where in the heck do they live? I don't know. Somewhere out of town. We should go over and say hello. After they greeted the couple, Ryan went to get a drink from the bar and to talk to Derek. So how are you feeling, dear? Mary asked, her eyes twinkling when she smiled. I'm feeling good. Why do you ask? So you're not having any morning sickness yet? Maddie looked at her in shock. Wait, how could you possibly know? I hadn't told anybody that I'm pregnant. Not even Ryan. I've been around for many years, my dear, and I can always spot a pregnant woman. It's Christmas time, and what a lovely gift for your husband. You should tell him. I was going to wait until Christmas morning. I think he's going to figure it out before that. Since you're not drinking alcohol, it's a sure giveaway. We are so happy for you. And your little girl Emily is the sweetest thing ever. She may look like her father, but she takes after you in so many ways. Now, this was confusing to Maddie. As far as she knew, the Walkers had never actually met or interacted with Emily. I think I will tell Ryan now, and Merry Christmas to the two of you. She started walking towards Ryan, and when he saw her, he had a glass of white wine for her, which she refused. What, you're not drinking? Come on, have one with me so that we can celebrate Christmas. Ryan, this is going to sound like deja vu, but I can't drink because we are having another baby. I was going to wait until Christmas morning to tell you, but Mary said you would probably figure it out when I refuse a drink. Aren't you going to say anything? For a second he was speechless. They had been trying to get pregnant ever since Emily turned 2, but it seemed as if it was never going to happen. He had gotten used to the idea of just having one child, but hearing that she was pregnant again, he was so happy he couldn't speak. Oh my God, you're not happy about it, she said, and turned to leave, but was stopped when he grabbed her hand. Of course I'm happy about it. It's like you said, it's like deja vu. When you were pregnant with Emily, you told me at the Christmas party, just the way you did now. I was beginning to think it was never going to happen again. Pulling her into his arms, he gave her a kiss before announcing once again to the whole room that he was going to be a father. While they were up dancing, she started talking to him about this pregnancy. I do hope this time around, you are not going to behave the way you did the first time. I promise, but just so you know, you've got a little one running around, so you might get a little more tired than before. All I ask is that you don't overdo it. Derek came over to their place 4 months later and helped Ryan paint the baby's room. He also helped him set up the crib that once belonged to Emily. He was Uncle Derek to her, and he loved the little girl as if she were his own. He was also seeing a young woman who was a waitress in town. So how's it going with Erica? Derek couldn't stop smiling. We've been seeing each other for a few months now, and I honestly think that she's the one. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be proposing to her soon. I just hope that we can be as happy as you and Maddie. I'm sure you will be. Just treat her right and you will be a very happy man, and so will she. So do you know the sex of the baby, or do you want this one to be a surprise? Well, we were going to wait to tell our parents first, but if you promise to keep it quiet, I'll tell you. We're having a boy this time, and we picked out a name, but you will have to wait to find out. Maddie went into labor 2 weeks early, and after 6 grueling hours, she gave birth to a little boy, 6 pounds and 11 ounces. They had several names picked out for him but chose Matthew. Summary: Derek and Erica had gotten married and had 3 children, all boys. Ryan's business grew. His taper expanded to so many different things, along with the local news being printed. He also included several people who put out a weekly column. One was with their town doctor, who would give out advice on health situations. There was also a weekly advice column that people could write in and ask a professional. It could be anywhere from financial advice down to personal. Puzzles were included in the paper, along with cartoons and other various things. People could also send in articles that they wanted to share with everybody, which included things from visiting their family out of town or trips they had made to various places. So, of course, the paper was much larger than in the past, and the price had to go up. But no one cared because they really enjoyed what Ryan had done. Whenever there was a major story in or out of town, due to either a fire or accident, Ryan hired someone to cover these stories. He loved being his own boss, and his life was perfect, and he never once regretted moving here. This was his home. his family and his life he wouldn't give up for all the money in the world. Maddie was not able to give him many more children, but they were quite happy with the two they had, and the children grew up to be very healthy and happy. She and Ryan loved each other and never took each other for granted. And of course, every year Chris and Mary Walker showed up at each of their Christmas parties. Ryan still had that special Christmas gift he had received years back, which he kept in his closet still in its box. It was a reminder to him that things which seemed impossible could very well be true. As the years flew by, their son Matthew joined his father and was made partner. Emily went to work with her mother, who totally took over the business when her parents retired. She also hired Ed Baker to help them out, who ended up marrying Emily. Matthew also found the love of his life when a family moved to their small town. Now Ryan's parents never did come to visit them or their grandchildren, but they did send each of the children a large sum of money when they were born, which was put into an account until they were of age. It was a very large sum of money, which they both eventually used to put a down payment on a house. If you enjoyed the story, please consider leaving a review to help others find the book. Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts. Your input helps us improve. The end.